Because of the following special broadcast of the Detroit Lions Kansas City Chiefs football game, the movies will not be seen today.
Day, a family day traditionally spent with turkey and dressing and football. Today, coming to you on NBC, an interconference matchup from the Silverdome. The Kansas City Chiefs, surprising co-leaders in the AFC West, have come to Detroit with Joe Delaney to go against the Lions in playoff contention themselves. They'll counter with their ace, Billy Sims. That rushing duel will unfold as the Lions and Chiefs go at it today. In addition, we'll follow John Brody as he takes to the sidelines to coach his son's high school football team. At halftime, we'll bring you a Thanksgiving Day message from the President and enjoy a look at President Ronald Reagan's sports career in fact and film. Saturday Night Live's Joe Piscopo will be along with his views on halftime entertainment. We'll have special reports from Mike Adamle and Byron Day and a commentary from Newsweek's Pete Axtell, all today on a special Thanksgiving edition of NFL 81. NBC Sports presents NFL 81, an inside look at professional football and the preview of today's Thanksgiving Day special. Brought to you by the 1982 Volkswagen. Nothing else is a Volkswagen. And by J.C. Penney. On the outskirts of Detroit sits the NFL's newest domed arena, the Pontiac Silverdome. Inside, it's 67 degrees, and for this Thanksgiving Day special, over 80,000 fans have come inside to watch the Chiefs and the Lions go at it in an important interconference matchup. And good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to NBC on this Thanksgiving Day. I'm Bryant Gumbel, and from all of us associated with NBC Sports, our very best to you and yours. Hope this holiday finds you all in a very happy and peaceful times. We've got a busy day ahead of us. We're going to be joined by some very special reports and some special friends. Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen will be along with the call, and Mike Adamle will be stopping by. And oh yes, we've got our Pete Axtell, who's already found a special friend.
Thanks, Bryant. You know, picking games this year, I've listened to the Wizard, the Brain, the Lock, anybody's opinion. 3 over 500 on Thanksgiving Day. At this point, I'll try anything. What do you think about things? Well, I'm trying for this information. Let's go to Dick and Merlin and hear some other points about the game.
Old Pete is NFL 81's answer to Dr. Doolittle talking to the animals, but very, very seriously, this game involves first place and a look ahead to the Super Bowl playoffs. The Kansas City Chiefs are tied for first with Denver in their division. The Lions are only one back of Minnesota in the NFC Central, and they're looking ahead to big things.
Both these teams glad to be in it. They haven't been in for a while. They're both glad to be here right now.
Is there any pressure associated with being on national television today?
Yes, there is, Dick. All these players know that the players and coaches of the league are sitting around their TV sets. Even the ones getting ready for practice have a TV set on in that training room. And being watched by your peers puts a special kind of pressure on a game like this today.
Pressure with a capital P for the two defenses. These are the top two running teams in all of the NFL. And Joe Delaney, the brilliant rookie for the Chiefs, and Billy Sims for the Lions, the men will be focusing upon.
Well, and for a defensive team, looking at either one of those runners is instant nausea. I imagine these defenders laid awake, or many of them laid awake last night, worrying about the kind of touchdown capabilities that both those men bring to the field. They're a potential touchdown every time they touch the football.
Any runners ever make you sick to your stomach?
I got to admit it, Dick, going up against an O.J. Simpson or a Gale Sayers, every time they touch the ball, that tightening in the stomach, the fear of not being able to catch up with them, or even if you did catch up with them, the fact that they might just leave you laying on the ground.
And you think this is going to be a big hitting game?
I have to believe that this is going to be one of the roughest games of the year. These are two of the most physical football teams in all of football.
So the main course is running with some crisp hitting and blocking on the side. Bryant?
Okay, Dick, thank you very much. In truth, Billy Sims and Joe Delaney will be at center stage, and of course a lot of attention will be directed toward quarterbacks Bill Kenny and Eric Hipple. But as Mike Adamle has noted, there will be a quarterback on defense for the Lions who deserves some applause of his own.
In 1972, Stan White was a 17th round draft choice out of Ohio State. During his first 8 years in the league with the Baltimore Colts, he was one of the premier linebackers in the American Football Conference. Now in the twilight of his career, he relies more on intelligent play to get the job done for the Detroit Lions. Stan, we've come a long way since our days at Kent Roosevelt, and it's good to see you again, partner.
Well, Mike, we have. We grew up together, and we've been apart now for a few years, but it's good to see you again.
Today, when Bill Kinney, the Chiefs quarterback, looks across the line of scrimmage, one of the things that he's going to be worrying about is number 52. That's quite a tribute.
Well, I hope so. You know, 10 years is a long time to play, and you said it's the twilight of my career, and I guess you're right. I hope there's a few hours left until darkness, until I have to quit playing. But coming to Detroit really gave me a new lease on life. I sort of played out the string in Baltimore, and there was a new coaching staff and a big change there. And coming up here with Maxie Baughan, a defensive coordinator, really gave me a chance to really motivate myself again and really get myself back into football.
Well, Stan White is a coach on the field. We declare him our defensive quarterback, and with the formations that you have today, adjustments are necessary just about on every play, and we audibilize, I'd say, about 85% of the time. And if you call a play from the sideline, you have to change it anyway. And we feel like that he's in the game, and he does a great job for us.
One time last year, Stan was aware of a pass formation versus a run formation, and there were 10 times in one ball game we were able to put on a pass rush in a situation that was normally a run situation, and by those pass rushes. That kind of thing is important to have the ability to do that on the field. There's no way that from the sideline we can signal all that at the last instant like Stan's able to do.
I know your defensive coach, Maxie Baughan, likens you to an extra coach on the field.
Yeah, I guess you can take that two ways, Mike. I think it's meant to be a compliment. They allow me to do things that a lot of other players aren't allowed in the field. I'm allowed to make all the adjustments. I don't get signals from the sideline. They give me great latitude. And I think that being able to be like a coach on the field allows you to make changes, allows you to make some big plays on defense. But I think sometimes they play on that so much that they forget, or sometimes they make you forget you can play football too. And a lot of people think that the only thing you can do is go out there and direct traffic or something of those means. But I like to think that you have to be able to do both parts of your job. You have to be able to know what the other team's doing, be able to direct your defense, but you got to be able to play your position too, because if you can't, that's the first thing they're going to attack. And you can't protect yourself all day. You have to go out there and make the plays too.
Partner, great to see you again. Good luck today.
Okay, Mike, thanks a lot. It's good to see you again.
Mike, coming out of that Stan White, you were telling me a little bit earlier that he's the last of what I guess would be a vanishing breed, guys who call the signals from the field.
Well, Merlin Olsen calls him a dinosaur. He is vanishing. To my knowledge, he is the only player, as you said, Jack Pardee used to do it with the Redskins and the Rams. And the thing that makes Stan so good is that he has a special football talent, and should he decide to retire, he'll wind up as somebody's defensive coordinator.
Okay, that's number 52 of the Lions. He'll be watching today. And one of the people he's certain to be watching, number 37 of the Chiefs, his name is Joe Delaney. We've been talking a lot about him, an awful lot this morning. Let's learn more about him from Byron Day.
Joe Delaney of the Kansas City Chiefs has been one of the surprise packages in the NFL this year. Watch him run, and the comparisons are inevitable. Sayers, Simpson, Dorsett. But their reputations preceded them into the pros. Delaney slipped into the league very quietly after playing college ball at Northwest Louisiana. Joe Delaney wasn't exactly a household name when he played with Northwestern Louisiana, but the pro scouts knew who he was. In fact, on this show last year, Bucko Kilroy of the Patriots said that Joe was probably the sleeper in the whole draft. Well, a lot of NFL teams were caught napping during the first round because Joe wasn't chosen. And it wasn't until the second round that the Kansas City Chiefs picked Joe Delaney.
Why didn't he go in the first round on the basis of what he's been showing so far this year? I think it's more because he's from a smaller school, and he is a person who is not big, certainly by National Football League standards, as a 185-pound running back.
Joe, what's been your biggest adjustment to playing pro ball?
Well, my big adjustment is getting used to the big linemen, you know, would fall on top of you and everything. I didn't really have much of a Northwestern. They weren't quite as big and fast as they are now.
Joe's a tough guy. Joe's a hard-working guy. I tell you, he's just a no-nonsense, get-down-to-business sort of a guy, and I guess his running style is really illustrated by the type of person he is, I think. He gets that ball north and south, and he gets there right now.
When you get the football, what's the first thing you look for?
First thing I look for is a crease, you know, a crease along the line. That's about the norm that I look for. If not there, I look for the outside bounce. You know.
So are you looking for the play as it's designed first?
Right. For the play to design first, and then if not there, then I try to move on to the next level, trying to get outside.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a very satisfying thing to get a block and perhaps fall off and try and end up tripping a guy or something and look up and see Joe running past you, you know, and a guy reaching out, maybe trying to get a hand on his ankle as it's going by.
Delaney has gained 985 yards this season and ranks second behind Earl Campbell among running backs in the AFC. Only 13 rookies have ever gained 1,000 yards, and Delaney figures to do that today. He's really helped turn the Chiefs around, and Kansas City coach Marv Levy on this Thanksgiving Day has a lot to be thankful for. Byron Day, NFL 81.
Some thoughts on the Pontiac Silverdome and the defensive men in the middle when NFL 81 continues right after this.
Clem, it's time we thank the folks at Skill. They brought out the Sandcat sander only a couple of years ago, but now we just can't work without it. Right, Clem? Skill Sandcat handles easy like an orbital sander. Has the muscle of a belt sander. I expect it's going to last, too. As long as our Skill saw circular saw, maybe as long as me and Clem.
Skill. We build tools that last, and last.
Clem, where did you put the hammer?
It's a feeling of freedom that begins with Blue Stratos. Unleash the spirit. A feeling as brisk and bold as the open sky. Unleash the spirit. New Blue Stratos Cologne and Aftershave.
I like that smell.
Unleash the spirit. You'll like the feeling.
The highest mileage car in America comes with front-wheel drive, a reliable, easy-starting diesel engine, comfortable adjustable seats, and a nice, roomy interior. The Rabbit Diesel is the highest mileage car in America, but the best thing about the highest mileage car in America is it's made by Volkswagen.
Give that
Jen, dinner. Well, it's about time.
When the real taste of beer is everything you thirst for. The original Blue Ribbon beer. Blue Ribbon beer.
I am very appreciative of that banner that rests here in the Silver Dome, exactly 202 feet beneath the roof, a roof that consists of 10 acres of Teflon-coated fiberglass. How might you wonder is that roof held in place? We asked Pete Axtell.
Thanks, Bryant. You know, on the way in here, I picked up this brochure about Silverdome facts. One thing it tells me, the roof is held up by 5.5 pounds of pressure per square foot. Well, that's interesting. It means there's a lot more pressure inside than out. But you may wonder, what do statistics have to do with a football game today? Well, I think I just figured out the answer. We're dealing here with two of the best field goal kickers in the league, Nick Lowry and Eddie Murray. Now, what if you open one of these doors in the right place at the right time just before a field goal attempt? This might give you the biggest home court edge since the Moscow Olympics, when they used to open a garage door in the stadium behind the Russian javelin throwers. And this is even better, because you can't bet on the Lubyanka Lions. Brian?
Certainly, when Nick Lowry and Eddie Murray ply their trade today, all eyes will be on them. The same cannot be said of Don Parrish and Ken Kramer. They are the men in the middle for Kansas City's defense, and part of that unappreciated breed known as the middle guard.
In a 3-4 defense, there are 4 linebackers, 2 defensive ends, but there is only one man in the middle. Some call him a nose tackle, others a middle guard, and his ability to absorb punishment as well as dish it out is the key to pro football's 3-4 defense. No other position requires such a combination of quickness and strength. An irony of a nose tackle is that they are judged not by the number of tackles they make, but by the attention opponents devote to them.
The nose tackle is the key to any 3-4 defense. He's the one that clogs up the middle. He's really the stalwart lineman. He causes things to bounce outside. He really makes things happen.
The nose tackle can't get blocked one-on-one by a center. If he does that, it destroys a 3-4. You got to at least control the center and tie up 2 blocks most of the time. And if you can't, you should be able to control the center and get down and make the play yourself.
He's got to do exactly what he's supposed to do in the heat of the battle on every snap. And I think that's the real key as far as defensive nose tackle is concerned. We feel it's important that they're willing to make a sacrifice, if you want to call it that. We simply call it playing the defense as we'd like to have it played.
A coach once said, the only thing easy about playing nose tackle is that you always know exactly where to line up. This is the most physically demanding position in the game. Every snap brings with it an assortment of double and triple team blocks. To excel at nose tackle, you cannot escape this beating. And because of this, only a few ever master the middle. The Denver Broncos starting nose tackle is number 68, Reuben Carter, a man with that extra something that it takes to play this position well.
I love the position. It's basically a part of myself, a part of my personality, being persistent, being aggressive.
Let's go. Let's start up front now. Come on the ball.
They'll always be smart there waiting for you when you make a move to get around one of your blockers. If anybody's standing in my way whenever I come around a blocker, that person can expect to be hit. I expect to get double teamed on every play. If I can get in and be a factor on any plays, it's really a delicacy.
On this Thanksgiving Day, we've got a family story with a football bench. And ball star John Brody. We'll get to that after this.
MCS, stereo for the senses. See the beauty of MCS. Touch the precision controls. Hear incredible sound. Feel it move you to a realm beyond. The MCS 60-watt system with receiver and speakers is on sale at $599.85. Save $380. See it, touch it, hear it, feel it. MCS, stereo for the senses. Only at JCPenney.
This diesel engine is what makes the Volkswagen Rabbit and Pickup the best mileage 81 car and truck in America. Right now, make your best deal on either one. And Volkswagen of America will mail you a check for the suggested retail price of the diesel engine option. What that really means is you get a diesel at no extra cost. So you can save hundreds of dollars now and hundreds of dollars a year on fuel down the road if you get to your Volkswagen dealer by December 31st.
Victoria, darling, my heart.
Stop, camera. Wash the suit.
Wash the suit?
It's the Hager washable suit in Visa fabrics, made a new way to be machine washed and dried.
And action.
Victoria, my...
Cut. I don't believe it.
The Hager washable suit is guaranteed to keep its great looks and fit for its normal life or your money back. The Hager washable suit. Guaranteed wash after wash after wash.
Is that a rhythm?
There you go.
Jim, can we have 3 cuts?
Down this way, let me have one.
Real taste of fear. I need a refill.
As we again wish you a happy Thanksgiving, we take note of the fact that in each life a person wears many hats. Case in point, our John Brody. He has been quarterback, announcer, husband, father, and now he has added to that coach of his son's 8-man football team at Apple High School.
Ready, Anthony? All right. You run a little bit. Straight ahead. All right. I guess if you've had 25 years of experience in the game of football itself, from high school through professional, you have so many experiences about relationships between players and coaches. That's my viewpoint, that what we're there to do is to help them, because that's the definition of a coach. And when we do help them, they gain greatly. And I think at the level we're playing, our purpose is to get them enthusiastic about the game of football so that they can feel good about themselves and go out and be a more involved person. Well, the only guys that thought you guys would be here is yourselves anyway, so here you are. Let's go. My son Bill not only is one of the players, but asked me to come down here and help because he is the quarterback now. And the funny thing is, he'd never played or even looked as if he wanted to play a down of football before he came down to Apple School. Okay, Bill, you can still run. You can fake a 48. You know, if you fake 48, you can tell the line to block off, okay? Fake 48, all right? And you can hit Richard streaking straight down the side or toss-up. Okay.
Right boy, Richard, that's the way to go, baby! That's the way to run it! Way to go, Bill, good throw!
Here we got our guys. When you call 15 in the huddle, right? Boom, they come right in here. You got me?
He's a good coach.
Right in here.
He gets into it pretty much. He gets into the guys and then playing. He gets a little rowdy too much sometimes, but overall he's very good and he keeps his calm.
80 lineman is there. And I mean, it's a block like a dive play. You follow me? So what you do, Bill, is you drop back, okay? Just give it a quick pop, you know the pop? And then you might just run by. That's the only way we can run it. If you want to do it. Do you guys want to do it? Yeah. Okay, if he calls a 15, that's the way you do it. Okay?
There he is. All right. Didn't I see that on the chalkboard? Way to go, Coach. 21, that ain't bad. Nice going. Too good. Yeah, we did about as good as we could do. Thank you.
This may or may not be my last year of coaching, but it will never be beyond the level of high school in an enjoyable situation, because I've really found that the guys that have it best are those that are sitting up in row 50 with a microphone.
I love you, JB, but 53-21, maybe we did the piece on the wrong coach. In any event, on this Thanksgiving Day, let's turn our attention to another member of the NBC family, Lenny Dawson, the subject of our kickoff report.
Old Spice presents Kickoff. Kickoff is brought to you by Old Spice Aftershave Lotion, the fresh, clean scent women love.
You're watching a quarterback whose career has raced along the exciting thin line that separates failure and success. He is Kansas City's Len Dawson, a superbly accurate passer and one of the great dominant quarterbacks who made the early years of the American Football League so different and so much fun to watch. But it started out like a bad dream. Pittsburgh had him for 2 years and said he couldn't pass. Watch him pass. Cleveland had him for 3 more years and said he couldn't pass. Watch him pass. Lenny could put the ball almost any way he wanted. He loved the flare pass to the outside and would work the field zone for zone, step by step, and then just reach back and hit some miracle worker like Otis Taylor 50 yards downfield. But it wasn't until Super Bowl IV that he and Coach Hank Stram got a chance to prove their 3 AFL titles were worthy of respect. Dawson and the Chiefs won big that day and had 6 more years together. More touchdowns, more wins, more satisfaction. When all the smoke had cleared, the record book shows only 3 quarterbacks in the history of the game have ever passed for more yardage than Len Dawson, the chief of the Chiefs.
A little Old Spice has a lot of rewards. Old Spice is the clean, fresh, masculine scent so many women love. So even if you love only one woman, you'll love Old Spice, the man's scent so many women love.
We'll have some final thoughts and a commentary from our Pete Axtell when we return to the Silverdome on Thanksgiving Day.
At JCPenney Auto Centers, we won't steer you wrong. We will steer you to the amazing JCPenney Mileage Maker XP All-Season Steel-Belted Radial for great traction in any road conditions. And right now, save $40 to $100 on a set of 4. The Mileage Maker XP with the unique interlock block tread. Season in, season out. The only tire you need. Only at JCPenney.
JCPenney Auto Centers. We won't steer you wrong.
Mom, we got a present for you.
When you get home. Let's go.
You can install the Stanley Do-It-Yourself Garage Door Opener in about 4 hours. Everything comes in the box. Just assemble it, put it up, and plug it in.
Surprise.
The Stanley Do-It-Yourself Garage Door Opener. It's a very nice thing to do for somebody else.
He did it so fast.
We want to help you do things right.
Available for holiday gift giving at most Kmart stores and ACO.
Our day is just getting started, but word around here is it's already gone bad for Pete Axtell. Any truth that you had the Brodies in the 53-21 game?
No truth at all. I haven't bet a Brody team yet in my life. That's why I'm so rich today, Brian.
You know, rich tradition is Thanksgiving Day. It's reached that point in the year where all the games are kind of special. Not only the pros, but the colleges, because they're coming up on bowl time.
Well, I've already decided my 2 favorite bowls so far. One is the Sun Bowl, which gave Oklahoma a chance to find somebody they can beat this year. And the second one is the Garden State Bowl, which is played in the Meadowlands in New Jersey with that great traditional metropolitan rivalry, Wisconsin and Tennessee.
You know, the bowl that's getting a lot of play here in the Detroit area is the Astro Blue Bonnet Bowl, which will match Michigan against UCLA, and supposedly the officials in Pasadena are a bit miffed at that.
Yes, well, it's sort of a mini Rose Bowl, and for the Michigan fans that wish they were at the real Rose Bowl, the Astro Blue Bonnet Bowl has a little history of its own, you know. It was the first bowl to have a hyphen.
We might add there's no truth to the rumor that the Colts were going to be invited to the Fiesta Bowl, but they didn't quite qualify. But, you know, in truth, it's funny that people make a big deal about the bowl invitations going out. They're supposed to go out at the end of the regular season in college football. In truth, they go out earlier.
Well, yeah, everybody knows pretty much by mid-season where the teams are going to go, but we have to keep the charade going for the economy. Just think of all the limo drivers and cocktail waitresses that would be out of work if the bowl committee stopped traveling to scout the teams.
If they don't actually go out, for sure, everybody knows. What about your pick today, very quickly? Who do you like?
Interesting game, closely matched, but I can't go against the Lions at home. Take Detroit minus the 2.5.
Okay, the Lions are unbeaten at home, and we're getting set for what we think will be a very good affair. 80,000 on their feet here. It'll be Billy Sims against Joe Delaney, the Kansas City Chiefs against the Detroit Lions. Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen will be along with the call and the kickoff right after these messages from your local station.
The Smurfs bring their #1 show to prime time. Yeah, Sunday.
Trust the leader in technology to forge a new legend, Seiko LaSalle. Trust Seiko to fuse slim elegance and fearless performance. New Seiko LaSalle. Trust Seiko to create timepieces destined for a place among the world's great possessions. Seiko LaSalle. Miracles of slimness, marvels of technology. No wonder people trust Seiko more than any other watch. Seiko at your authorized dealer.
When you're out riding a Yamaha snowmobile, you won't think about all those grueling years of testing that went into the engine design, or all the late nights our engineers spent smoothing out the suspension. You'll just hit the throttle and head for no place in particular. We do all the work, and you have all the fun. But that's the way it should be.
I'm back to tell you about that remarkable radio station.
I'm Arthur Penhallow on Riff. Just take a look at these lips. This is Ken Calvert with a half-hour commercial-free cruise on Riff. Get it up, Detroit. This is JJ and the Morning Crew on the Riff.
Nothing matters but the weekend.
This is Karen Savelli with another commercial-free Detroit cruise on WRIF.
You've still got a remarkable mouth.
WRIF is still a remarkable radio station.
Baby!
The original Miracle on 34th Street, tonight at 8. The 80,000-seat Silverdome, the largest stadium in the NFL, the scene. Kansas City and Detroit, the top two running teams in professional football. The young Chiefs are 8-4. They're tied for first in the AFC West, and they're led by sensational Joe Delaney, a rookie from northwestern Louisiana, whose breakaway bursts have him just 15 yards from the 1,000-yard mark. For Detroit, one game out of first place, it's last year's NFL Rookie of the Year, Billy Sims. The former Heisman winner from Oklahoma has the best rushing average per game in the NFL. Sims versus Delaney. The Lions and Kansas City, two teams in the run for the Super Bowl playoffs. NBC Sports presents the best of the National Football League. Today, from the Pontiac Silverdome, it's the Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions. Today's game is brought to you by Old Milwaukee Light. We got the taste of light right. Old Milwaukee Light. By the new Chrysler Corporation. For 1982, Chrysler has the cars, the quality, and the prices America needs. By IBM, helping put information to work for people. And by K-Care, where quality parts and service are Kmart priced. The 80,000-seat Silverdome packed to capacity for this interconference game that features two teams with playoff ambitions. Kansas City in a tie for first in the AFC West, and the Detroit Lions only one game behind Minnesota in the NFC Central. And from Martha Watson, president of NBC Sports, throughout this entire NBC Sports crew, a happy Thanksgiving from Pontiac, Michigan, everyone. And on this day when all of our crew, the ladies and gentlemen who will send you this game, are away from their families, we hope that you're enjoying those that you love on this very special day. Happy Thanksgiving, Merlin.
Same to you, Dick. Good to be with you. And it's nice to get together with the families, but in a time when it seems fashionable to be critical of those things we don't have and to be angry at everything and demanding change, it might be nice to step back and look at the things that we do have, the good things we share in life, and to be thankful for just a moment for those.
Nicely said. These are two teams that are battling for first place, and of course, they're looking ahead to the Super Bowl. And they are the two top rushing teams in the entire NFL, and they feature two outstanding runners. Let's talk first about the Kansas City Chiefs' Joe Delaney.
The word for Delaney is quick. You talk to people who played against this young man, they cannot believe how fast he hits the hole and how quick his feet are. He has really set some people on their ear, and for a small back, surprisingly strong. He really has come on strong in this rookie year.
It's interesting that Delaney here, as he powers that rushing offense of the Kansas City Chiefs, the Chiefs and Lions 1-2 in NFL rushing. These two defenses are two of the three best against the run. So something will have to give today. For the Kansas City defense, they'll be focused on number 20 in Honolulu blue and silver.
Dick, we had a chance to watch Billy Sims as he played out his college career, and we also have had a chance to watch him in a professional uniform. Again, amazing quickness and blinding speed, but I think the thing that sets Sims apart is his ability to see the openings and to explode through them. He's a very special back, already over 1,000 yards, and we're going to see some fireworks from these two great backs today.
Merlin, we're also going to have some fun today because we're going to be talking about football communications. What happens in the huddle? What are those fellows on the sidelines with earphones talking about?
Very often, Dick, success or failure on the playing field will depend on the ability of these teams to communicate one with another. It's especially difficult in front of 80,000 screaming fans, and even more difficult in a domed stadium where the acoustics seem to multiply the sound. So they're going to have a tough time letting each other know what's going on today.
It's like a foreign language.
Well, it is, and teams develop their own terminology, their own special codes, words, and colors. I think the language spoken on the Kansas City side of the field as opposed to Detroit's side of the field would be as different as Swedish and Italian.
I guess in this day you could say then they're talking turkey.
Maybe so.
Let's go down to the field. The Detroit Lions will receive. Kansas City Chiefs in white will kick it off. Detroit Lions to the 27-yard line. It's first down for Detroit. Eric Hipple, the young quarterback. Billy Sims, a brilliant runner, and Dexter Bussey, the all-time Lion rusher in history. Fred Scott and Leonard Thompson, the wide receivers. David Hill, bad knee. He was not expected to start. The offensive line, Boldischweiler, Elias Fowler, Bollinger, and Dorney. Dorney regarded as the top offensive lineman and all-pro candidate. Hipple going to throw on first down and going long for Thompson. And the flag is down. It'll be interference against Eric Harris. Harris and Thompson, their legs became engaged, and Thompson went down to the flag.
I don't think they called him for his leg, though, Dick. It looked like he reached out with that left hand and kind of felt for the receiver. Give the referee a chance to call it here.
Pass interference, number 44, first down. Our referee is Fred Wyant today. Here's a look at it.
Now watch right at the end here. You'll see Eric reach out with his left hand. There's the bump right there. Bumped him with the hand and bumped him also with the hip. And, of course, you simply cannot touch that receiver after the ball has been thrown.
38-yard penalty. Billy Sims, his first carry. And he's to the Kansas City 32-yard line, a gain of 3+. Here's the defense for the Kansas City Chiefs. Much improved. Art Still, Don Parrish, Mike Bell. Still and Bell were top draft picks, number 1 round choices. The linebackers, Howard, Blanton, Spaney, their leading tackler, and Cal Peterson. They're back four, and you hear the coaches around the league rave about these youngsters. Green, Burris, Barbaro, he's the veteran, and Harris, who played in the Canadian Football League the last 3 years. Dexter Bussey inside the 30-yard line, but that'll be 4 yards shy of a first down. Peterson and Parrish collaborated on the tackle, and the Lions face a passing down.
Dick, one of the things we can expect to do today, as well as seeing some great action, when you put two physical teams like this on the football field together, you can hear the action. You're going to hear those pads slapping together.
You predicted it would be a very physical game.
I think it may be one of the most physical games in the NFL this year.
Horace King, a good pass receiver, has replaced Bussey in the backfield. Hipple. Freddie Scott out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Good throw by Hipple. He had to throw that right through the defensive back of the Chiefs.
Hipple, a relatively inexperienced young quarterback, had his debut on national television, and what amazing cool he has shown. Gets the benefit of a ball there from Eric Harris, but still, that pass exactly on target into the hands of his favorite receiver today, Freddie Scott.
You have to wonder, however, if Harris had maintained his feet, he might have had the interception. So the Lions, on a couple of breaks, are at the 11, and here comes Sims. to the 9-yard line, a gain of 2. Sims from Oklahoma. When he's not playing football, he just likes to tinker mechanically with cars and trucks. 4th in the league. But look at that, 1,123 yards for Sims. He's missed 2 games. So if you prorate his average 112 yards a game, he would be the top rusher in the NFL. He's missed 2 games and still number 4. Eric Hipple, who has run for 6 touchdowns this year, has a 2nd and 8. Reverse. Freddie Scott back to the line of scrimmage, and that is all, as Ken Spaney read it well, along with Mike Bell, number 99.
Play was really stopped by number 50, Cal Peterson, the man responsible for the reverse, slipped to the outside, and there was no place to go. The ball carrier had to turn back inside. Watch the reverse, and as the ball carrier comes back, you see right there, runs into the barrier. Number 50 has to duck back inside. They get him on the ground. That's what you have to do defensively. Keep the play inside. Both these teams are going to have to keep the speed in there where they got some body.
3rd and long. Hipple. Touchdown, David Hill.
Hill not expected to play today. Shows you right there why they need him in the game. But the other thing that made that play was the run of Hipple. Little play action pass to freeze the defense, and Hipple has 4.47 speed. He gets outside and makes a little room for himself and his receiver Hill and hits the TD.
Hill in that crease was wide open. Veteran from Texas A&I. Eddie Murray slams through the extra point, and the Detroit Lions trying to celebrate early. It took them only 3 minutes to get 7 points.
Introducing the 82 Dodge Aries K, America's highest mileage 6-passenger driving machine, with even better mileage than last year. Front-wheel drive and improved suspension for better performance than last year. But the most incredible news for 82 is what isn't new, the base model price. Still America's lowest priced, highest mileage 6-passenger front-wheel drive car. The 82 Dodge Aries K Coupe, America's driving machine. And on other select new Dodge cars and trucks, get $300 to $1,000 cash. See participating dealers for complete details.
Right Guard Solid, because a man needs all the protection he can get. Right Guard Solid has an action-triggered formula, triggered to release protection when your body needs it most. So the more you sweat, the more protection you get. Right Guard Solid, action-triggered to help keep you dry and odor-free all day. Right Guard Antiperspirant Solid, the more you sweat, the more protection you get.
So the Lions in 3 minutes, 9 seconds go 73 yards, 6 plays. The Capper 10-yard pass from Hipple to Hill. Murray ready to kick it off. Rookie James Murphy deep for Kansas City. Murphy from Utah State at the 4, the 20, and flying out to the 30-yard line. Tackle made by Robbie Martin. He's the kick return man for the Lions. Bill Kenny, the quarterback. Joe Delaney, a brilliant rookie. The big blocking back and fullback James Hadnot, over 240 pounds. Stan Rome playing for the injured Henry Marshall. That's a loss. Marshall out. J.T. Smith, 4 touchdowns on punt returns the last 2 years, and Al Dixon at tight end. Perkinoff, they like to run behind him, short yardage. Buddy, the veteran Rudney, Condon, and Getty. They've been together all year, and Marv Levy feels they're much improved. Smith in motion. They run the other way to Hadnot. Bubba Baker, number 60 from Colorado State, gets Hadnot by the ankles. Here's the Lions defense. Gurefoy, who surprisingly leads the Lions in sacks this year. William Gay, Doug English, and Bubba Baker on the front line. Gary Cobb, maybe the most improved Lion player. Van Teddy in the middle, leading tackler. The veteran Stan White, he calls the plays. Wayne Smith and James Hunter at the corners. Spider-Man Allen and veteran Ray Oldman. Oldham, not old man.
Now that he won't appreciate. Somebody's taking unfair advantage of him there, I'll tell you that.
Second and 9. Here's Delaney. Oh my, did he sprint to daylight, and a first down at the 46-yard line. Delaney rips off 14 yards, which gives him 1 yard from the 1,000-yard mark.
We mentioned the word quickness. Watch the explosion here. Almost a draw play, but look at the feet. It looks like everyone else is going at about 3/4 speed, and Delaney just flies through for the first down.
You have to slow it down just to appreciate where he's going. He is a blur. Delaney. Northwestern Louisiana, first down, Kansas City at their 46, trailing 7-0 early. Hadnot to the 49-yard line, a gain of about 3. These two men that are coaching today both started with these teams in 1978. Marv Levy, Phi Beta Kappa and the Chiefs. And across on the opposite sidelines, Monty Clark, former coach for the San Francisco 49ers. And these two men have built their teams through the draft. They're both relatively young teams, not unlike Cincinnati, another team that has excelled this year with youth and a growing program. Delaney. And the Lions swarm at the 49. Veteran Stan White and the right corner James Hunter up quickly to stop Delaney for no gain.
Dick, I asked Maxie Bond, the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, how do you stop Joe Delaney? He said, we have got to keep him inside. We cannot let him outside. We've got to keep him in there where we have some tacklers. They were able to get the quick force on that play. They got a lot of people in quick pursuit. Delaney was able to get virtually no yardage.
Bill Kenny faces his first passing situation. And he hits his man, J.T. Smith, first down at the Lion 41-yard line. Wayne Smith, cornerback from Purdue, made the tackle, and the Chiefs have a first down in Lion territory.
With Marshall out of the lineup, he's going to have to go to J.T. Smith. Smith, not a burner of a receiver, has good speed, but more of a controlled receiver. You see him working across the middle, had a little trouble with his footing, but he knows where that yard stripe is. You see him look at that red marker on the sideline and drive for that first down.
For those 44 catches, now 45, he is the leading Chiefs receiver. Kenny complete to Stan Rome, and a penalty flag. Hunter hit him up around the helmet and will draw a 15-yard personal foul.
Hunter just back to action after being out with an injury. A little bit eager with the forearm flipper. And, of course, anytime you throw that forearm, you're probably going to draw a flag. They've made it increasingly painful for the defense to get up around that head and to use the forearm and the arm.
Personal foul, number 28. First down.
Chance for you to watch it. An excellent pass to Rome on the sideline, but watch the shot right there. He comes up with that big cast and then with the right arm, and that's a good call by the official.
First down, Kansas City, just outside the 20-yard line, trailing 7-0. Hadnot. Good yardage as he slips inside the 15 before Doug English, the veteran tackle from Texas, can make the tackle. This is not just an average Thanksgiving Day entertainment game. This is a game that has big impact on the playoff picture. You've got Kansas City 8-4, and they are tied with the Denver Broncos for first and just a game ahead of San Diego in the west of the American Conference. And for the Detroit Lions, with Minnesota losing Monday night in Atlanta, the Lions are are actually just a game. Actually, that's 7-5 for Minnesota, not 8-4. They're only one behind Minnesota. Delaney all the way to the 4-yard line and a first down before Stan White can make the tackle.
I talked to some of the players who watched Delaney on film and a couple who played against him, and I asked about his quickness relative to other backs. I said, what about Tony Dorsett? They said he's quicker than Dorsett, and you saw it right there, that little stutter step, the move to the outside. An incredible back, and one that is surprisingly strong for his size.
Remember, these teams both have outstanding rushing defenses. First and goal. No, that's Smith. Check that. Billy Jackson, who is just into the game, and Billy Jackson has a touchdown. Jackson from Alabama. They like to use him in short yardage. That's his 10th touchdown of the year.
To put that into perspective, he's carried the ball 69 times on the season, Dick, and 10 of those for touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. Watch him here. Look at this surge of the offensive line. You get an extra block, 85 Beckman, the flanker, a tight end coming in there to throw the block, and they go right up behind Rudney and right up on the right side there and just push that whole defense into the end zone.
Steve Fuller to hold for Nick Lowry. Good job by Fuller on the snap, and the game is tied at 7. A very impressive drive by the Kansas City Chiefs as their offensive line really knocking the Lions defense back, and we're tied at 7.
Oh, Edna, the Toyota needs struts, brakes, and a new muffler. And if we can't get the car back by tonight, we can't go to your mother's for dinner. She'll never get all that done in one day.
If you want your foreign car fixed fast, get the Midas Touch. Midas has foreign car struts, brakes, and mufflers in stock.
I won't see my mother-in-law for a week.
Get the Midas Touch. Nobody else has it.
Hi, Mom.
To win in competition, these guys got to get everything just right. And for guys like that, we worked harder at making a beer that's just right. Old Milwaukee Light.
We got it right. Old Milwaukee Light.
We gave Old Milwaukee Light a big beer taste, but still kept it less filling, and that makes it just right.
We got it right. Old Milwaukee Light.
Old Milwaukee got light right.
Tonight, Michael Conrad and Barbara Babcock in their award-winning roles on the Emmy-winning Hill Street Blues. #1 with the critics, #1 in its time period.
Each team scoring on its opening drive. 69 yards, 9 plays. Jackson a 4-yard run for the score, and we're tied at 7. Lowry to kick it off. Nichols and Hall are deep. This one will go to the rookie Nichols at the 7. And he gets to the 24-yard line where the Lions will put it in play. The tackle made by Curtis Bledsoe of the Chiefs.
Curtis Bledsoe, an excellent special teamer, backup running back. Certainly one of their favorites when it comes to putting him into the pattern on the kickoff team, punt team. Watch him right there. Comes down, bounces off one block, gets right there to get a piece of that tackle. Good special teams play. Kansas City doing a good job of coverage throughout the year.
6:26 left in the first quarter. Quick hitter. Good gain out to the 32-yard line for Dexter Bussey, the 8-year veteran from Texas Arlington.
Dick, one of the things we can look for today, since these two teams do have such potent running attacks, is the use of the play-action pass. Very, very tough for the defensive linemen to read pass when they have to respect the running ability of backs like Delaney and Sims. So these quarterbacks will use that to buy a little extra time for them to get the ball downfield.
After Mike Bell closed off the outside, Peterson from UCLA made the stop, and the Lions will look at 3rd and 2. Chiefs have been able to corral the big rushers in the last season and a half, as you saw from that statement. And they're trying to do that to Sims today. That was a -1 for Sims. Dexter Bussey up the middle for a first down at the 35-yard line. Gary Spaney from Kansas State made the tackle. Merlin Olsen commented about these two teams. You have running teams, and they like to block you off that line of scrimmage, that it'd be a physical game. And the sounds already have underlined that statement, Merlin. Let's give it a listen this time, see if we can hear the pops.
Excellent speed. They say they clock him down around 4.4, and for a man of his size, 6'1", 212 pounds, doesn't look to be that fast, but certainly the kind of player that you love to have if you're a quarterback and you want to get him downfield. Harris did a fine job. He'd been victimized earlier on that same kind of play down the sideline, called for a play that set up the touchdown, there to knock that one away.
Rick Kane, number 32 from San Jose State, has replaced Sims in the backfield. And Kane unable to handle that pass out of the backfield. So it'll be 3rd down and 10 for the Detroit Lions.
Talked to Monty Clark about young Eric Hipple. He said he got his first real baptism against the Chicago Bears, who run about every defense ever created under the sun. And you've got to audible against the Bears or you simply can't play. Said Hipple handled himself well, did not have a great day, but was able to stay cool under all that pressure. They knew then that they had a young quarterback that was going to do well.
Rick Kane and Horace King behind Hipple on 3rd and long. Could not handle the ball. Could be that Thomas Howard, number 52, got his hand on it, but it appeared to be a Lion completion until Howard interfered.
Great pressure on Hipple by Ken Kramer, number 91. Kramer coming around on a stunt, just buries Hipple. Watch the reach right there. Looks like a little bit of a strip. It's exactly what Howard was able to do. That was a reception until Howard stripped the ball away.
Tom Skladany to punt for Detroit. J.T. Smith back at the 28. He drives it deep, and a fair catch and a fumble. And who's got it? Number 31, Ken Calicut of the Lions.
You made the comment yesterday when we were watching practice. Ken Calicut has the look of that dedicated special teamer. They're almost like boxers with that kind of concentration. Down there, just flying to the outside. But it's the pressure right there on number 86 that pushed it to the outside. J.T. Harrison. Harrison, dependable receiver. You won't see that very often. Great play by Calicut. Big break for the Detroit Lions.
He's from Clemson. We'll be seeing them in the Orange Bowl on New Year's night, and Calicut gives the Lions the ball at the Kansas City 26. Rick Kane, and he fumbles, and the Chiefs get it right back at the 23-yard line. Don Parrish of Pittsburgh recovered the fumble.
Nose tackle Parrish out there in a real hurry, and well, what a great break for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Lions getting a hold of that football in scoring territory, already in field goal range. Let's see what caused that fumble. It's stripped away again. Just a bone-jarring tackle. Pulled it right away. That's Peterson again. He's made 3 outstanding plays here in the early going, and good pursuit from the inside from Parrish to get on that fumble.
So the Chiefs, after after the muff of the punt by J.T. Smith, get it back on the first play. Rick Kane playing for Billy Sims. We understand that Sims has re-injured that what they call the turf toe. A sprained toe does not sound serious, except when you're a runner and you're trying to put that pressure pushing off it. It can be most difficult, and Sims being attended to on the near sidelines.
We may see him later in the game. That's a painful injury, and it really restricts the ability of Sims to cut. In fact, that's how you get it, by cutting on this artificial turf.
Delaney. And he's to the 29-yard line. Good first down run by Delaney of about 6 before English and Cobb could make the tackle for Detroit.
One of the things that has helped Kansas City so far this year is to have their offensive line healthy. But another thing that has helped is the quickness with which Delaney hits the line of scrimmage. When you know that that back is going to be there, will be able to take advantage of even the smallest hole, you get extra incentive as a blocker. And certainly Kansas City's line has had that this year.
Hadnot, and he's close to a first down. Hadnot from Texas Tech. It's an interesting set of backs for Kansas City. Delaney's a rookie. Hadnot's in his second year. He's the old man. Billy Jackson and Curtis Bledsoe, the only other two running backs active on the squad, are also rookies.
It's a tribute, I think, to the conditioning of those two, that there are only two backups on this team. That seems a little risky to me. Hadnot, by the way, went over 100 yards last week. He's not just a blocker. He can carry the mail.
Third down and less than a yard. They like to go to Billy Jackson, 43 in this spot, and they do. Going to be close.
They'd like to put their third tight end, Beckman, number 85, in motion from a flanker position, and normally he'll come all the way across and block. On that occasion, we've never seen him do it before. He turned around at the center position, started back.
Jackson from Alabama, they feel that was really a steal in the draft. Kansas City, they got him in the 7th round. He was Bama's leading rusher as a senior last year, and yet was still available in the 7th round, 5'10" and 223. First down at the 34-yard line. J.T. Smith to the right, and now both receivers go left. Smith and Stan Rome. Tight end Dixon on the right side. Intercepted. Stan White. White, a linebacker, has his 31st career interception. That leads the active linebackers in the NFL.
There's a man who plays football with his head as well as any in the league, and an inexperienced quarterback who shouldn't have pulled the trigger on that particular play. As you see, White in position to take it away from him, does it with simple ease.
We talked about communications. He is the defensive communicator and a dinosaur in the NFL, and we'll pursue that as we continue.
Looking for good fuel economy? General Motors new cars and trucks offer impressive EPA mileage estimates. And financing from GMAC can go a long way towards helping you get the kind of fuel economy you want today. You see, automotive financing is GMAC's only business. GMAC not only has money available, but at rates that make good sense.
Ask a GM dealer about GMAC, the financing people from General Motors.
Radio Shack makes Christmas dreams come true. Exciting fast-action games with electronic sound effects priced from $7.95 to $79.95. Like the electronic computerized arcade, the sports stadium, two-player baseball, cosmic fireaway, space shot, and more. Your kids can play alone or with a friend. Challenging entertainment for kids 6 to 60. Hours of fascinating fun are waiting for you only at Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. There's the defensive coordinator, Maxie Bowen. He was a coach on the field, talking with Stan White, who indeed is playing that same role for the Lions. And basically, he's about the last one left that really calls the defensive signals. It's tied at 7 here at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, late in the first quarter. 1 minute, 53 seconds left. Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen, the Lions have just intercepted, had the ball at the 41 of Kansas City. Eric Hipple, man open. Leonard Thompson, and he is to the 34-yard line. We talked about communications. Merlin Olsen, before the telecast today, assumed the role that the scouting coaches upstairs do, and this is where it all begins.
It's early morning, and the area around the Kansas City bench is quiet. Later today, it will be filled with milling football players and coaches. It's extremely difficult to see the game from field level, so the coaches have had to find a way of getting above the action. This is one of the coaching booths, and from here, the coaches of both teams will be connected to the field with headsets. They'll be passing information offensively and defensively to the coaches on the field.
All right, Merlin and Marv Levy, who has his own lineup of communicators, saw Billy Sims pick up a first down at the 29-yard line. Coaches in touch by telephone communication with those assistant coaches in the press box. Leonard Thompson wide right with Freddie Scott slotted right for Detroit. Sims cutting back against the grain to the 26-yard line, and a short gain of 3. Gary Spaney made the tackle, number 59.
They've wrapped Sims' toe. They've gotten him back into the ball game. Although he lost his shoe on that play, he's going to have to tie it back on. Spaney, a fine, aggressive football player, the best of the Kansas City linebackers. Very, very physical, and certainly those linebackers a great combination of speed, quickness, and strength.
Sims now has 12 yards rushing. Delaney 30 yards in their individual battle in this first quarter. And that first 15-minute period has come to an end. Here at the Silverdome, the site of the Super Bowl. Next January, it's the Detroit Lions 7 and the Chiefs of Kansas City 7.
We wish everybody in Hooks, Texas and all over the country a happy Thanksgiving Day.
Hi, I'm Joe Delaney, number 37, and I'd like to wish everybody in Shreveport, Louisiana, and Hardin, Louisiana, happy Thanksgiving, and also my family in Los Angeles, and I hope you're watching the game today.
Oh, Fred, what a lovely piece of furniture.
Giant TV, too.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that's Quasar. Oh.
Hot dog.
That's fantastic. That's Quasar.
Beautiful stereo tuner, but where is your turntable? Hidden. Inside. That's fantastic. That's Quasar. Okay.
One great idea after another, after another, after
All you people in motion, here's a good notion.
The telephone credit card. The easy way to call.
Easier than carrying a whole lot of change. You get a monthly record of your calls.
Apply at your Bell Business office for your free card.
Mrs. Wilson. Hi, Mom. It's the newest Mrs. Wilson.
All over the land, call soon as you can.
He's the working man, forging dreams with fire, building, moving mountains, always reaching higher. He's the wheels that move a nation, the stitching in the seams. He holds it all together. He wears Levi's jeans, 'cause he knows we still build the Levi's jeans that helped build America.
Head coach Monty Clark, 44 years of age, in his 4th year from Kingsburg, California. First quarter, 7-7 tie, and the statistics just as even. Second, and a long 7. Billy Sims has some opening. Look at Sims take on the cornerback, Eric Harris, and just ran right over him, and Harris isn't up yet.
Sims has a toe mayor a little bit. but I'm going to inflict a little pain of my own. Put his helmet down and blasted Eric Harris. Harris, a pretty big defensive corner. But watch the action, and again, you see that little change of pace right there, and the explosion to the outside. Look at that. Great power by the back Sims. 6 foot, 212 pounds, and he'll hit you much bigger than that.
He does run hungry, as they say. First down, Lions. Vince Thompson from Villanova, rookie, and Dexter Bussey now the running backs.
You saw the coaching box upstairs. Bob Snelker, former Green Bay player, not former Green Bay coach, Los Angeles coach, New York coach, is calling the plays now for Detroit.
This is Thompson, and the rookie gets to the 16-yard line, and maybe a yard gain. Thomas Howard from Texas Tech made the tackle. He was quite a hurdler in high school. In fact, as a senior, had a 13.7 in the 120 highs. That was the best in the nation. And here he is at 6'2", 215 playing in the NFL. So he's big and he can run. Billy Sims back in for the Lions. Early in the second quarter, the game is tied at 7. Nichols was wide open, but Hipple under pressure couldn't get it to him.
Hipple having time to throw that football, simply didn't get it on target. He'll relive that play a number of times later tonight. Chance for you to watch pure drop back, no play action fake, gets time to throw the football. A little bit nervous in the pocket that time. Nichols wide open. They're coming under the zone defense there. And that should have been a completion, Dick.
Third down, and just over 10 yards to go for the first down. Lions have been successful thus far on third down. Good protection. And Gary Barbaro with a brilliant defensive play to knock it away from David Hill. Barbaro from Nichols State of Louisiana makes an all-pro play.
Hill, certainly a favorite receiver in this tough territory. A big target, but Gary Barbaro read the play beautifully. Howard, the linebacker, there along with him. Eric Hipple did have time to throw that football, and without the great coverage from the secondary and a beautiful play by Barbaro, that would have been a completion.
He looked like a basketball player blocking a layup attempt the way he knocked that away.
It's all timing, Dick, and that's about as well as you can do it.
35-yard attempt by Murray. Hipple to hold. And the Lions are back in front. 34 yards officially, and the Detroit Lions take the lead 10-7.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
The people in St. Louis know their beer, but as a master brewer,
Schlitzer.
Thank you. I know one taste of my Schlitz can change a lot of minds, and now more people know.
I like Schlitz better than Bud.
I'm a Miller drinker, but you have to taste Schlitz to believe it.
Mr. Sillinger, your Schlitz tastes good. It's a good tasting beer.
Here's to it.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
Can an American driving machine outdistance every Datsun on the highway? If we put a gallon of gas in every Datsun, and in the 1982 Dodge Omni Miser, one by one, every Datsun would run out. But Omni Miser would keep driving, with the best highway mileage of any 5-passenger American car, and the lowest price. At $54.99, the base model 82 Dodge Omni Miser doesn't cost $1 more this year than the end of last year. And on other select new Dodge cars and trucks, get $300 to $1,000 cash. See participating dealers for complete details.
Skating superstars Ty Babylonia and Randy Gardner, Robin Cousins, Peggy Fleming, and Dorothy Hamill compete in an encore performance of the World Pro Figure Skating Championship. Then light up with excitement in NHRA drag racing next Saturday on NBC's Sports World.
Much at stake today here in the Silverdome. The Chiefs deep return, James Murphy. as Eddie Murray of the Lions will kick it off. It's 10-7 Detroit early in the second quarter. Short. Deron Cherry at the 20. Breaks a couple of tackles. And finally out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Good return by the rookie, Deron Cherry from Rutgers. Marv Levy, the coach. You ever wonder what happens in the huddle? Well, in this communications process, it goes from Murray to the quarterback, Bill Kenny. Here are his comments.
When I look over at Coach Ross and get a signal from the sideline, I will then go into the huddle. I will call a formation and any shifting by my backs or receivers. I will then call the play and the blocking scheme and then the snap count.
You can see him look at that defense, and then he's going to call in the audible if that's necessary, or the blocking call. And gives to Delaney. Oh, he's tough to bring down. A gain of 5 before Purifoy and Cobb can wrestle him down. Joe Delaney, 5'10", a compact 184 pounds. He broke Sidney Thornton's records at Northwestern Louisiana. Thornton, of course, the outstanding running back with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
When you heard Kenny talking about his huddle and what is said there, very important that that be done quickly. You've only got 30 seconds to get the play off. You've got to take the signal from the sideline, let everyone know what they have to do and when they have to do it, and then move to the line of scrimmage.
And Smith in motion. And Hadnot, the fullback, to the 41-yard line. And the Lions say he fumbled, but no signal from the officials. William Gay, Stan White made the tackle.
You saw Stan White. We featured him on our pregame show. Now you get a chance to watch him in action. Excellent quick read, ducks up into the opening, and makes a good tackle. Stan White actually has lost a little of his quickness, but when you play with as much savvy, you're able to anticipate the moves of the offense, and you're almost there ahead of them. I think they may have lost their communications with the upstairs, which means that they're going to have to take the headsets off the coaches on the other side, too. And we talked to you about the communications that go upstairs to the coaches in the box. Now watch, they'll go across and they'll tell the coaches on the other side, because it's an NFL rule. If communications go out on one side of the field, they must automatically take the headsets off on the other side of the field. And you saw it very quickly. Levy said, wait a minute, stop this game. If we can't talk to our upstairs people, neither can the Detroit Lions. Very important, Dick, to remember that with the confusion and all of the players on the sideline and on the field, difficult to see what's happening. That's why they move coaches upstairs. That's why they'll call offensive and defensive formations from upstairs.
Now, football is not unlike baseball. You talk to any baseball manager and he'll tell you that he has the worst seat in the house in the dugout, and so it is on the sidelines in football. All the confusion. It's tough to see what you can see from this angle. This basically, that shot before this one, is the angle that the scouts have as they look down on the play.
Kay Dalton is the man that's calling the plays from upstairs for the Kansas City Chiefs. Actually, in a normal situation, sends him down to Bobby Ross, and Bobby Ross will be the man that signals him into Kenny. But right now, they've flipped the lines. There they are, sitting with some dead headsets upstairs.
Of course, for either team, the offense needs that information more than the defense. It's 3rd down and 3. Intended for Smith, incomplete, but it was Stan White who hit Kenny and forced the pass to flop a bit.
Dick not only hit him, but forced a very bad pass that came dangerously close to being intercepted. The blitz coming from Stan White, again anticipating well, got the count and zipped to the inside, and Kansas City's going to have to kick it away. There's the pattern right there. Now watch how close that was to being intercepted. Thrown on the inside of the receiver. J.T. Smith had to turn back around, unable to get his hands on it.
Robbie Martin deep. Jeff Gossett to kick. Martin at the 20. And down at the 25 with a good open field tackle by Charles Jackson, number 51 from the University of Washington. Timeout. The Lions lead the Chiefs 10-7. 11 minutes left, first half.
This is no way to treat a personal luxury car, but this is no ordinary personal luxury car. This is the new Dodge 400. The cockpit says personal luxury, but here's the difference. Front-wheel drive, rack and pinion steering, McPherson struts, electronically controlled engine, and another extraordinary difference, extraordinary mileage. Dodge 400 is no ordinary personal luxury car.
It's a personal driving machine.
Dodge 400, America's personal driving machine.
Big parties, little parties, those very special parties. They always sparkle with Canada Dry. That very special Canada Dry sparkle. Always light, always crisp, and very, very refreshing. Canada Dry Club Soda, tonic water, and ginger ale. They make your parties sparkle. You sparkle. Make your holidays sparkle with Canada Dry.
The outcomes have been incredible. Next Sunday, don't miss a dynamite doubleheader as the road to the playoffs continues on NBC Sports.
Are they putting him on? Maxey's putting... No, he's got it off still. In fact, you can see Maxey with his in his hand or on his belt. Snelker calls the play. Okay. All right, well, just show the coaches then. What do you want to do something? Show the Detroit coaches. They've taken theirs off now. Okay. And this
Lions assistant coaches, Snelker, Seifel, Dahl, Phillips, and there's the Kansas City booth. And Kansas City, apparently the telephone communication now back intact. Who was it that played Alexander Graham Bell in the movies? Don Amici? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Don Amici. But you notice they made the Detroit coaches take their headsets off. Now it appears that Kansas City has their sound equipment working. They'll allow Detroit to assume communications with the booth too.
Lions lead 10-7. Here comes Sims to the 34-yard line and very close to a first down.
Just by way of feeling the tempo of this game, Dick, looking back at the two turnovers that gave Detroit field position and only able to get 3 points out of that. That may be costly before this game is over.
Sims showing a noticeable limp as he comes to the sidelines. There are his numbers. In only 10 games this year, he missed 2 with that bad toe, and it's bothering him today. 31 yards total thus far for Sims. And he has enough for the first down at the 36-yard line. Gary Spaney, Cal Peterson, Dino Mangieri in on the tackle. Mangieri, number 74 in the lineup at the moment.
Number 99, Mike Bell. What a specimen he is. Certainly one of the most physical pass rushers that we've had a chance to see in a long time.
Can you imagine what kind of defensive play that must have been for Colorado State? They had Bubba Baker at one side and Mike Bell at the other.
I hate to tell you that they didn't have a very good record in those days either. They must have done a lot better here than they did when they were in college.
Sims back in. Short yardage on first down. Thus far in the early returns, the Kansas City running game has had a little more explosiveness than the Lions, but the Lions lead on the board at 10-7 with 10 minutes left in the first half. Gary Danielson has been activated for the game. He's been out with that bad wrist, a broken wrist, since the Oakland game early in the year. Activated today.
You might wonder why he would have to be deactivated, even though that's his left hand. Doesn't throw with his left hand, but you got to take that snap with that left hand.
Good yardage by Horace King. Or was that Sims? That was Sims. Sims shooting through for a considerable gain before Lindstrom and Howard can make the stop.
Dick, you got to be flexible. Bob Snelker, who's the offensive coordinator for Detroit, has now gone onto the sideline because he could not communicate with Monty Clark. Oh, my. What a spaghetti.
You know, we're going to be blamed for this, honestly. We wanted to just talk about communications, not the failure thereof.
But Snelker has gone down to the sideline. He's standing right next to Monty Clark to help call the plays on the sideline.
Horace King now in the backfield. Here comes Sims. In a passing down, the Lions try to cross up the Chiefs with a run and are short by 2 yards. It'll be 4th and 2. Whitney Paul made the tackle. He's from Colorado.
Paul, a converted defensive lineman, lifted up to a linebacker, and now occasionally will go back into that defensive line position. You see Hipple coming off. Now, this is another part of communication. Coming off to be debriefed by the coaches on the sideline. Talk about what they did wrong, what they did right.
J.T. Smith at the 16-yard line. 10 men on the line of scrimmage. Smith, who muffed the last punt, had a little trouble finding the handle on that one. It'll be first down, Kansas City at the Chiefs' 13-yard line. 43-yard punt, no return by Skladany, who leads the entire NFL in net punting yardage. A good one by Skladany.
Thanksgiving to the Hunter family in Silsbee, Texas.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Bell, number 99. I'd like to wish all my family back in Wichita a happy Thanksgiving. I'd like to also wish Joe Norman a speedy recovery from his knee injury last week.
Now there's a place where they have their own authorized mechanics, quality parts and service, and prices you can afford. Now there's K-Care, found only at Kmart.
When you can get a brake job, both front disc and rear drum, for less than some places charge just for discs, that's a value. Well, that's what the K-Care brake special is all about. For only $88, we'll do a front and rear brake job using Ray Bestis Manhattan quality parts. At that price, why do it yourself? That's K-Care, only at Kmart.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
Down here in Texas, people know a good beer, and many choose the taste of my Schlitz. Just one glass will tell a lot of beer drinkers what I've known all along. You just can't buy a better tasting beer than Schlitz.
What do I really think? I think Schlitz tastes better than Miller. Schlitz tastes really smooth.
Mr. Sellinger, your Schlitz tastes good. It really does.
I'm glad you like it.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
Sophisticated racing machines burn up the track at breakneck speeds of over 200 miles per hour. Don't miss the quickest quarter mile ever in NHRA drag racing. Then, a special encore performance of the World Pro Figure Skating Championship next Saturday on NBC Sports World.
Midway through the second quarter, the Lions 10, Kansas City 7. There's Stan White, the defensive coach on the field. And after this play, we'll have White give us some insight into what happens in the defensive huddle and on the line of scrimmage. First down, Kansas City at the Chiefs' 13. Delaney, a gain of only 1.
Dan White, not only a smart football player, but very capable in calling the defenses.
When I step in the huddle, the first thing I have to do is call the alignment for the defensive line. We usually get into what we call an under front for our running situations, or we can go into what we call our pass rushing front, and I give them what we call a blue call. Then I go into the coverages that we are going to use. A lot of times we use a zone coverage in first down situations and second and short situations, or I call into a man-to-man defense that we use in our passing situations. Or we can also make special adjustments according to how the game's going. We may want to call a blitz, what we call a dog at times. We may want to go into our nickel situations where we're bringing 6 or 5 defensive backs. And we have several different adjustments we can make throughout the game according to what they've been doing or what they've been successful with against us.
Oh, it's easy.
I asked him, I said, how many defensive audibles do you have? He said, at last count, over 160 that can be called on the field. And he said, there are more now.
Billy Jackson at 2:23, and someone really threw a shoulder into the ball carrier to stop him that cold. It'll be very close to a first down. An added note on Stan White, number 52, to be able to remember all that and react so quickly, obviously you need certain cerebral capacity, and he was in his top 3 or 4 in law school. He's already a practicing lawyer, so White indeed is a genius on the field.
The other thing he does, and it's typical of the preparation that Maxie Vaughn, his defensive coordinator, insists on. If you ask him, you put Kansas City anywhere on the field, he can tell you what plays they like to run out of from there, what their tendencies are out of different formations. He's had more time with a projector than just about anyone else in the league.
Well, he had him in the right defense on that play, and the Chiefs are short by inches. They talk about brain power. That man that you just saw, Marv Levy, you don't want to take a test with him either.
Certainly not. Interesting thing about both Levy and Monty Clark, two coaches highly respected by their players. They're coaches who will communicate eye to eye with their players, and that's something that I always appreciated and respected in a coach.
You didn't want to hear from somebody else.
No, wanted it from the man himself. And Levy's got a touchy problem with his quarterbacks. We can talk about that a little bit later, but he's willing to talk to them and about it fairly and honestly.
Robbie Martin at the 35. Gossett. Nice spinning spiral. Martin to the 40 and into the Lion bench. Timeout, exactly 6 minutes remaining in the first half here at the Silverdome. It's the Lions 10 and the Chiefs 7.
There's only one car rental company in the world, big enough and good enough to be #1 for everyone. Hertz.
Who else guarantees your final rental charges in advance, like this? And lets you go right from your plane to your car without stopping at the rental counter.
And they never charge for mileage, no matter where you rent the car or where you return it.
Whatever you need in a car rental company, there's still only one company you'll ever need.
Dear Atari Anonymous, ever since we got Atari video games, our next-door neighbors have moved in. They'd rather play Atari Air Sea Battle than go home. They'd rather play Atari Missile Command than go home. With games so ingenious, so involving, so intense. I ask you, Atari Anonymous, how far does this good neighbor policy go? Huh?
This Sunday, it's Week 13 in the NFL, and the playoff races are on. Brian Gumbel will have all the highlight scores, late-breaking news from all the games, NFL 81. Then regional football action continues, featuring AFC Central leading Bengals against the Browns, a game for Ohio bragging rights. And Denver travels to San Diego to play for the AFC West lead. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. Another big Sunday coming up on NBC Sports. Lions lead 10-7. First down at the Detroit 40. Harry Kippel on a screen to Bussey. Dexter Bussey nearly 10 yards as he stopped at midfield by the red and gold of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs getting a little heat on Eric Kippel earlier, and one way to neutralize that kind of pressure is to run the screen pass. Let those big defensive linemen through and then dump it out. Dexter Bussey, a fine running back in his own right. Good job of play acting by Hippel, who must make it look like a pass, and then some good blocking on the outside. Amos Fowler, 65, although he was literally hurdled by the defensive player, making enough room for Bussey to get by, getting down very close to that first down.
It's just short, so the Lions have a down with which to play. Hippel is 4 for 9, 1 touchdown. One of the NFL assigned officials on the sidelines communicating with a referee about what we do not know, but we're going to find out.
He's just telling them that the sound systems are go and the coaches can put on their headsets. Bussey
more yards. First down at the 40. Dexter Bussey, who broke Aldi Taylor's record earlier this year, he's the all-time Detroit Lion rusher.
This is the kind of thing that can happen in short yardage. It looked like Kansas City was guessing that the play was going to be outside. All of their people stretching to the outside, and they're hit up inside by Dexter Bussey for a big gainer inside Kansas City territory.
Coverage by 44 Eric Harris, and Hipple wisely threw that one awry because Harris had a touchdown the other way if Hipple had thrown that one on the mark.
We talk about young quarterbacks. Hipple just getting his feet wet as an NFL quarterback, but knew enough to zip that one over the top. Or if he didn't know enough, he did it accidentally, and certainly that was the right thing to do.
You made an interesting comment yesterday about Hipple. You get a young quarterback such as Hipple, and usually they'll play well for a couple of games, but almost invariably they'll have a little dip, a little decline. Hipple has been surprising to you.
He certainly has. To be able to keep his cool and maintain his collective calm during this very pressurized period of time.
Nearly an outstanding catch in a crowd by the Lions. Eric Harris was there, and Billy Sims almost pulled it down.
Thompson coming from the sideline with the play. We told you Bob Snelker is still on the sideline. That's got to be tough for him. He's used to watching the game from up here. You can't see as much down on the field, but he's right there calling the plays on the sideline for Eric Hipple. Both these quarterbacks, because of their inexperience and because of the coaching preference, taking their plays from the sideline. Green has perfect position. Timed it well, but did not dare bump into Scott before that ball arrived and simply could not get up to knock it away.
What concentration by Scott, because he was being shielded, being badgered by the defender, and at the last minute, boom, just speared it behind Green. Murray gets the extra point.
Eric Hipple reduced the panic on that play. Zipped up into the pocket and got that pass right off on target.
Amazing young athlete from Utah State. He goes to Amherst, Freddie Scott, and 7 more for Detroit.
For the special times, for the happy times, for what's been, for what will be, for all the years and all the tears, for what you mean to me, for all you give me. A diamond, and forever I give to you.
Don't you have more than Christmas to celebrate? Give her a diamond.
Now, savings certificates direct from Chrysler make it easier to own a Mitsubishi-built import. Save $500 on a new 81 Colt or Champ. On a new 82, save $300. Save $500 on a new 81 Challenger or Sapporo. On a new 82, save $300. Save $500 on any new 81 or 82 Ram 50 or Arrow pickup. Now you can own a quality-built, high-mileage Mitsubishi import and save up to $500 at participating Dodge and Plymouth dealers.
There are a lot of cops on the road.
Only one Poncherello. That's right, baby.
And Sunday, the race is on to save a teenager who's stolen money from the mob on chips.
Freddie Scott, happy young man, his 4th touchdown of the year. A minute and a half, and the Lions now are in front 17-7. Eddie Murray to kick it off. There's Eric Hipple. Oh, what a job he's doing. He's playing like a 10-year veteran.
That's all that good training at Utah State, Jackson.
We'll talk about that later. Murphy and Deron Cherry, and they'll watch it go out of bounds in a 5-yard penalty against the Lions. Murray, illegal procedure.
There's a young Utah State quarterback on the other side of the field, Bob Galliano. You see him there. He's in exactly the same position that Eric Hipple was in a couple of years ago. And we asked Eric Hipple a question about him, and we'll give you that tape a little later. But that young man finished his collegiate season, the collegiate season at Utah State. There's the other Utah State quarterback on the field, and he has done a great job of coming in to direct an attack.
Well, let's just review Hipple's history a minute while they mark off the illegal procedure, the 5-yard penalty. Hipple was drafted in the 4th round last year by the Lions out of Utah State. He did not throw a pass all last year. And then this year, with the injury to Gary Danielson, they put in Jeff Comlow, the backup quarterback. And finally, Comlow, after a couple of games, relieved by Hipple. And Hipple took over as if everyone's saying, where's he been all this time?
You know who his backup quarterback was, Utah State, Dick?
Terry Bradshaw's brother?
Greg Bradshaw.
Yeah. They produced some throwers out there, the UTACs. How did you ever get into school? Finally corralled by Murphy. And he's out of bounds at the 29-yard line. And guess where James Murphy is from?
We asked Eric Hipple what advice he'd give to Bob Galliano. This is what he had to say to us.
Well, I just tell them to hang in there, not get discouraged, because it's a crazy game, and you never know what's going to happen.
Yep.
Boils it down, doesn't it?
He didn't waste any words doing it, did he?
It's interesting. Suddenly, Utah State with all those quarterbacks. In your day, it was known as Tackle University. Little screen to Smith. To the 43-yard line before Gary Cobb can make the tackle. First down, Kansas City. 14-yard gain for the 4-year star from North Texas State, J.T. Smith.
That's one of the favorite plays of this Kansas City offense. And again, that's to take the pressure off of the quarterback. The Detroit Lions have 37 sacks on the year, and you need to run some screens and some draws to keep those defensive linemen occupied.
Have their first sack of the game. Dave Purifoy and Bubba Baker with a Bill Kenny sandwich. Lions are tied with Dallas for the NFC lead with 1. Of course, the Jets lead all of the NFL with 49 with that New York sack exchange. And Oakland and Detroit, Dallas tied for the NFC lead.
Bill Kenny is a big quarterback, but even Big Kenny is not able to stand up to the rush of those two defensive ends, and they put it to him.
2nd and 21. Delaney to the 41-yard line. You could just see the talent, and when we go back to your comment as a defender, just getting ill to your stomach thinking about the talent of a runner like that, that was the case in point.
Just a quick story. When Sayers was in his prime for Chicago, Dick, he came out to play in the Pro Bowl in Los Angeles, and I was playing on the same team with him in practice. They'd give him the ball, and I'd get nauseated watching him even when we were in practice.
He was one of the real ballet dancers with great talent in the open field. City has to bring on the punting team as English, the oil man, gets Kenny.
Kenny a little bit nervous there. And one of the advantages that Hipple has over Kennedy is speed. Over Kenny is speed. You see there, just does not have enough speed to get outside of that rush. Pulled down by Big Doug English.
At the 2-minute warning, Lions 17, Chiefs 7.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
The people here in California know their beer. In fact, beer is a big part of their Oktoberfest. Schlitz, please. And for our master brewer, the final test is a beer drinker's taste.
I think Schlitz tastes a little better than Bud. It's nice and mellow. I like it. I'm impressed. This Schlitz really tastes good.
Mr. Sellinger, I'll go with your Schlitz.
I knew you would.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
Hey, over here! Hey, here! Yeah. Let's come around here. Yeah.
Hiya, Phil. Looks like we got here just in time.
I'm glad to see you.
Hop on in here.
Okay.
Oh, hey, wait a minute. We don't have room for your TV.
Guess I'll just have to wait for the next boat.
There's only one television that people are absolutely crazy about. Trinitron from Sony, the one and only.
Doug English, who has a great name, someone said weighed 250 pounds, named Spike. I said, if it's 250, who has the weight advantage in your household? He said, I got him trained down to 175. I'm the boss. He's quite a guy. Doug English, All-American at Texas. Jeff Gossett, who played some minor league third base in the New York Mets system, kicking to Robbie Martin, the rookie from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
Ooh, a low line driver. That's a return ball, Dick.
Martin. In a sea of Kansas City uniforms, Charles Jackson, the first wave, number 51. A 42-yard punt minus return. Timeout. 1:47 left in the half.
For his enshrinement into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Mr. Bob Lilly.
It was the greatest day of my life, the ultimate honor. After a career of 14 years as a Dallas Cowboy, being enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But there was one person who wasn't there to share that moment, and that was my dad. From the time I was 5 years old, he worked with me. His dream for me was that someday I'd play in the NFL. He couldn't run because he was partially crippled, but he passed the ball to me. He worked with me every day. Over the years, he was my coach and my greatest fan. He never missed a game until he passed away in 1971. That was the year the Cowboys made it to the Super Bowl for the first time. When you visit the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you'll see number 74, Mr. Cowboy, Bob Lilly. Behind every number, there's a story and a dream that came true. The Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Don't miss it.
Preceding announcement furnished as a public service by the National Football League, and our thanks to the folks here at the Silverdome. We're understandably excited about hosting the Super Bowl in January, and we want to congratulate our colleague Brian Gumbel, officially announced now as a new co-host of NBC's Today Show. A brilliant choice by the network, and the best to Brian. First down, Lions. They lead 17-7. For Hipple. Look at him move. Out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Eric Hipple.
A quarterback with mobility really has an advantage in a game like this. Watch what Hipple does with a broken play. That's a normal sack for most quarterbacks. He not only gets the yardage to the line of scrimmage, but outruns Cal Peterson, number 50, and legs it for the first down, and then smartly ducks out of bounds. He's a veteran already.
1 minute and 38 seconds left. First half. The Lions lead 17-7. Ball at the 36. Freddie Scott tackled by Gary Green. Green, a #1 draft pick out of Baylor. That's another Lion first down. Lions now will call timeout, and here's another part of the communication process. As Hipple will come to the sidelines, he has 2 timeouts left, and now, rather than the signals being sent in or signaled in, he can talk directly to his head man, Monty Clark.
And also to Bob Snelker. That's Snelker that he's talking to right now. And Monty Clark did an interesting thing when he came here and put his staff together. Knew that he was a little weak on the offensive side. Brought in Bob Snelker, who's certainly had a wealth of experience as an offensive coach, receiver coach early in his career. They'll be taking information, of course, still from the coaches upstairs, but mostly Snelker is the guy that will make the decisions. You see him right there, head-to-head with Hipple on the sideline. We told you earlier that when they lost communication and Snelker couldn't communicate, he had to get down to that sideline because Monty didn't want that whole responsibility of calling the offense by himself. And understandably so. His experience, although very strong on offense, does not include as much of the passing game as I think he would like to have there.
That really is, in essence, a war game. You've got the general headquarters, and you're sending the messages out to the foxholes and execute the plan and then carry it back. How's it going, and what can we do to be better?
Well, and it's a collective thing. You draw from the strengths of all your coaches.
Not this time, as Dino Mangieri has the first sack for Kansas City. Mangiero is a big New York Yankee fan, makes his home in Staten Island, New York, and Eric Hipple sacked for the first time today. It's surprising that Kansas City, that's only their 18th sack all year.
That's certainly a number that does not please Marv Levy or the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. But Hipple right there paying the price for taking a little too much time, and I think would have been well advised either to unload that or to make the decision to run with it a little bit earlier in the game. Sacks aren't always the final measure, though, of the pressure on a quarterback. Very often, a sack is not as effective as a pressure because a pressure can often result in a turnover. You can get the interception from the badly thrown pass.
1 minute, 15 seconds left in the first half. The Lions now have but 1 timeout remaining, leading Kansas City 17-7. In case you're joining us late on this Thanksgiving holiday, here's how the game has developed. The Lions scored on their first possession, 73 yards in 6 plays, a Hipple to Hill touchdown pass, and Billy Jackson capped a 69-yard drive in Kansas City's first possession to tie it at 7-7. A field goal by Murray and a Hipple to Scott touchdown in the second quarter. Mark Nichols, the #1 draft pick from San Jose State, and a first down at the 40. The clock running, 58, 57, 56. Incomplete, and a flag is down. This game has been relatively penalty-free.
As we talked about communication, in that previous huddle, Hipple had called 2 plays. He simply went to the line of scrimmage and got that second play off before Kansas City was ready. Penalty, it would appear, would go against Kansas City.
They gave illegal use of the hands against the Chiefs. Usually see that one on the other side. The offensive lineman guilty of the hold. And that's a big one. 10 yards down to the 30-yard line.
Illegal use of the hands in the face, number 61. First down.
Probably one of the defensive linemen on the rush getting a push. It would appear that, well, we'd hate to say it was Parrish, but he's the one that it was on him. And he comes out of the game.
Seconds to go. Ooh. Scott reaching forward, knowing that Barbaro was coming up quickly. And as most receivers, if they want to be honest, will tell you, you do hear footsteps. They're all around you.
No question. He reached all the way out. No chance for that one, although he got his fingers on it. I think an interesting thing about this game, it's a short week of preparation playing on a Thursday. The advantage, certainly, I would feel, passing to the home team. They don't have to travel. We asked Marv Levy if he felt that that was a disadvantage to his team. He said, no, in a way, I kind of like it. We needed a break. We practiced light, without pads, and I think my guys are ready to play. They haven't played quite as well as Detroit here in the early going.
A draw play, and it didn't fool the Chiefs as Horace King is wrapped up by Mangiero and Still. Clock at 34 seconds as Hippel exercises his final timeout in this first half.
Still plenty of time to get down there further, but he's well within Eddie Murray's range. Murray tremendously strong. In fact, a rather amazing stat is his ability to kick the ball outside the 50. He's 3 for 5 outside of the 50 in this season. Now, I don't think there's another kicker in the league that could boast that kind of average.
But he does have the advantage of working half the games indoors where the wind isn't going to knock those long kicks around.
There's no question that this is a kicker's stadium. Although in talking to Eddie Murray yesterday about the closeness of the crowd, especially at the stadium end to our left, where the crowd is right in behind the goalpost, he said that tends to make those goalposts look smaller. And he said, I think a kicker coming into this stadium for the first time would feel that those goalposts aren't the legitimate width.
Eric Hipple on the sidelines with that beard, and coming from Utah State, your alma mater, he looks like he could be a stand-in on Father Murphy for you.
He certainly might. Well, is he big enough? I will have to put a little weight on him. He married a girl from Logan, too, which is my hometown. Good choice again.
We are intentionally, throughout the course of this telecast, trying to give the schools of the athletes who are playing, and thereby really saying happy Thanksgiving to all the people across this marvelous country of ours. 3rd and 10 on a blitz. And that was a very alert play by Horace King. A veteran play. Had he tried to go upfield for a first down, would have been tackled inbounds and the clock would have run. King, even though he didn't make the first down, stopped the clock and allows Murray to come in to try the field goal.
They like to use King in a passing situation because he is such a fine receiver, but you're absolutely right about what he did there. One of the things you try to do defensively when you want to take some time off that clock is to get those receivers in bounds and hold them down. Detroit not taking any chances. They'll go for the field goal with quite a bit of time on the clock.
41-yard attempt. Oh, no good. He duck hooked it to the left. So Murray misses from 41 yards, only his 8th miss of this year. He's 21 for 29.
When you see him rush out to kick a ball, you have to think about the kick he made against Dallas here a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about the clock there. Obviously, they had to kick because it was 4th down. They're looking at the clock and watching them work it down. Kansas City now with 25 seconds. We'll get a little insight into Marv Levy's philosophy. With his conservative coaching background, I would have a feeling that maybe they would just grind this thing to a stop.
Nope, Kenny's going to throw. And Delaney tried to run before he had the ball.
That is a conservative call, even though it's a pass. It's not the kind of pass that could be intercepted. The idea to get the ball into the hands of your touchdown threat, certainly there's no question on that Kansas City sideline who the man is they wanted to have it. They tossed it out. Delaney tried to run a little too soon.
I know many fans here in the Detroit area and around the country as you think about the Thanksgiving Day game, and really it's become an American dinosaur. This used to be the day when you had the city rivalries, the state rivalries in college, and you played that final game of the year before the snows hit. Not too many games played on Thanksgiving anymore, but this becomes the traditional. And Delaney is all the way to the 42-yard line. And he just ran by blue uniforms, and the clock stopped with 12 seconds remaining.
Now with 12 seconds remaining and with position out beyond the 40, Marv Levy's philosophy may change a little bit. We may see the ball in the air now.
Merlin Delaney now with 63 yards rushing in the first half. And Billy Sims, who has been bothered by the sore toe, has a total of 39.
Well, again, we had indicated that the word describing Delaney was quickness, and I swear it looks like they've slowed down all the blue uniforms to let Delaney run at full speed. But he is a beautiful athlete to watch in motion.
When you going back to the tradition of this Thanksgiving Day game for Detroit, it started in 1934, and this is the 42nd edition. I guess the one that everyone remembers most clearly was, and it made this game really famous, 1962, when Green Bay played the Lions at Briggs Stadium. That was the game where Bart Starr and the Packers were in the midst of that Vince Lombardi dynasty, and Alex Karras and Darris McCord and Williams and Schmidt and Roger Brown, your former teammate, made all those sacks, and the Lions upset Green Bay in what was a spectacular game, and it then became almost a regular on the calendar for football fans around the country. 12 seconds left. Intercepted. Jimmy Allen. To the 34-yard line, and that's the end of the first half. Jimmy Allen, who leads the Lions in interceptions with his 8th of the year, and he was trying to go all the way.
Well, that's exactly why Marv Levy didn't go deep earlier. He almost got in trouble by taking the shot here. Had the clock not run out, they might have been close to field goal position. But you see it here, just overthrown. The ball sailing over the top of Rome's head. Alertly picked off by Jimmy Allen. He said, they call me the Spider-Man. Reed, they do. He said, I snatched that ball out of the air like a fly. Well, he certainly did it there, and then did some great running to get himself down well into Kansas City territory.
And on this Thanksgiving holiday from the Silverdome in Pontiac, that's the end of the first half. The Detroit Lions 17, the Kansas City Chiefs 7.
Recently, we've been asking those of you who don't watch News 4 to switch from the news you're watching and give us a try.
If you haven't tried News 4 lately, you don't know what you're missing.
There are lots of reasons to switch to News 4.
Try us tonight and see how it feels to break the habit.
The people of Michigan, they haven't forgotten how to smile. And we're proud to be part of that smile. We're Delta Dental Plan, Michigan's largest group dental plan. But we didn't become the leader on size alone. Delta has always led the way in relating to people's needs. That's why our group plans are as individual as the people we serve. That's why these people are smiling all over Michigan. Delta, we're #1 for a number of good reasons.
Heard the good news? $1 could win you $5,000. It's Daily 4, another daily lottery game with a bigger payoff. It's fun and easy to play. You pick your own 4-digit number, the agent punches out a ticket like this, and if it matches the winning 4-digit number, you win. A new winning number is drawn every night. Got a hunch on a 4-digit number? Play Daily 4. $1 could win you $5,000, and you'd really be in the chips.
Guess what these figures are? They're trade-ins, believe it or not, that people in the metro area are getting on new Buicks. $5,100 on a 3-year-old Cutlass, $5,300 on a 3-year-old Regal. Tomorrow, you too may get up to 75% of what you paid for your car new in trade on any new Buick you choose. Your Metro Buick dealers are dedicating 1 week into giving you more for your trade-in. But due to the limited space on our used car lots, we can only make this offer for 1 week. See if you too can get around $5,000 for your trade-in tomorrow at your Metro Buick dealer. The original Miracle on 34th Street, tonight at 8.
Of you, our Thanksgiving Day special has the Lions out in front of the Chiefs after one half by a score of 17-7 after scoring on their first possession and then getting another touchdown late in the second period, adding to that an Eddie Murray field goal. The Chiefs with a lone 7 coming on their second possession of the game. We've got a busy halftime ahead. We're going to have a special little bit on halftime entertainment from Saturday Night Live's Joe Piscopo. We've also got a message from President Ronald Reagan, and we'll look at his sports career, in fact, in the film. But first, more on today's ball game. For that, let's go back up to Dick and Merle.
All right, Brian and Merlin Olsen, we talked about the running games, the two top running offenses in the National Football League, the two stars, Delaney and Sims, but that really wasn't the highlight of this first half.
No, it wasn't, Dick, and we also mentioned that these two teams were great against the run, number 2 and number 3 in the NFL against the running game. It's really been the passing of Hipple. Kenny has not been that effective. He's been intercepted twice. Only 2 of his passes have hit the ground. He's had a pretty good day in getting it to the other guys on the other side of the line, unfortunately. But Hipple has had a good day passing, especially so with that long strike to Freddie Scott. I think it's the passing of Hipple that's been the difference in the game.
Scott, who did an excellent job, Hipple throwing deep. It appeared Gary Green was in position to make the play defensively. Number 24, Scott, with better timing, was up at the right time and pulled down 6 points on a 40-yard play.
Well, we can look for more of that in the second half, and certainly the 2 running backs didn't disappoint us in the first half. We'll see some good running then, too.
We're at halftime at the Silverdome in Pontiac. Detroit Lions 17, Kansas City Chiefs 7. We'll be back with more after these words from your local station.
Tonight, Arnold's caught stealing and eats all the justice he can get.
Right on, brother.
Different strokes. Then when Mel and the Chief go on a diet, it's high-calorie comedy on Give Me a Break. And it's the Emmy-winning Hill Street Blues, #1 with the...
News 4.
Try us tonight and see how it feels to break the habit.
Heard the good news? $1 could win you $5,000. It's Daily 4. Another daily lottery game with a bigger payoff. It's fun and easy to play. You pick your own 4-digit number. The agent punches out a ticket like this. And if it matches the winning 4-digit number, you win. A new winning number is drawn every night. Got a hunch on a 4-digit number? Play Daily 4. $1 could win you $5,000. And you'd really be in the chips.
Guess what these figures are? They're trade-ins, believe it or not, that people in the metro area are getting on new Buicks. $5,100 on a 3-year-old Cutlass, $5,300 on a 3-year-old Regal. Tomorrow, you too may get up to 75% of what you paid for your car new in trade on any new Buick you choose. Your Metro Buick dealers are dedicating 1 week into giving you more for your trade-in. But due to the limited space on our used car lots, we can only make this offer for 1 week. See if you too can get around $5,000 for your trade-in tomorrow at your Metro Buick dealer.
On this Thanksgiving Day, we are back at the Pontiac Silverdome. Our score at halftime, the Lions out in front of the Chiefs, 17-7. And as is the case with every day of the NFL season, the bands have taken over the field at halftime while the teams are in the locker room. And that gives us cause to pause, because our assignment at halftime is always to bring you scores and highlights. But what of the bands, some people have been asking? Well, for a special report on that, we've got a very special friend.
Thanks, Bry. Hello again, everybody. Joe Piscopo, NFL 81. Halftime, Chiefs, Lions, Thanksgiving. But the big story, marching bands. Why don't they show halftime activities anymore? We're missing some incredible action. Watch. Precision dancing. Butt bumping. Get down. Awesome tubas. Whoops. Incredible stunts. Incredible jerks. Is nothing sacred? Come on, Santa. Halftime tributes to pineapples. Siamese cheerleaders. Halftimes are good, clean, family, fun, yes. Let's see more of them. Joe Piscopo, NFL 81. Back to you, Bry.
All right, thank you, Joe. And now you know why we are here at halftime. It's halftime today at 17-7, and you know, X, we've been talking about the personal duels so much that really, if you don't believe me, you can look at the standings. This is a game that has playoff implications. But are these really playoff teams in the classic sense?
Well, you're bringing up the point that a lot of people have been saying parity is the curse of the betting class, the curse of anybody trying to figure this game out. But frankly, I love it. These are teams, they have limitations, they know it, but they have to play that much harder to try and overcome them. I think it's kind of fun.
And for a guy in your position, it's terrific.
Well, let's say it makes every game a fascinating challenge.
All right, let me take a look at the numbers here. Delaney, 8 for 63, Sims, 10 for 39, and a case of turf toe.
Yes, well, that's another of the humbling things about trying to be a handicapper is to think that your whole season could be hanging on one guy's big toe.
One of the reasons you decided to go with the Lions today is because of their home record. They're 6-0 inside of this building. Out on the road, they are merely mortal. They are 1-5. Any reasons you suspect for it?
Well, you know, this is my first game here in the Dome, and it's unique. The noise is incredible because other domes that have been built have been all-purpose round domes. This is one built for football with the fans much closer to the action. The wall of noise is incredible, and so it's not just a handicapper's factor of a home advantage. This really is. There's no place like this home.
Okay, but the handicapper isn't home free just yet. You've got a second half to go, and it remains 17-7. Okay, thank you, Ax. One of the other things we're going to be bringing you at halftime, as noted a bit earlier, was we are going to have a very special Thanksgiving Day message from President Ronald Reagan. But before we turn our attention to that, maybe we can take a couple of moments here to review his sports history in fact and film. It would be nice to say that Ronald Reagan captained his Dixon High School football team and was its star. Nice, but not true. In truth, he was an offensive guard, an undersized guard at that. Later at Eureka College, he lettered in football and swimming, sports he turned to because he was too nearsighted to play baseball. Still, he got involved with baseball in the early 30s by recreating Chicago Cubs games on WHO radio in Des Moines, Iowa. By the late 30s, he had gone from the press box to the playing field as a star who broke training at VMI in the movie Brother Rat.
2 fourth-classmen were reported absent from the room at midnight inspection last night. One of them was apparently in Mr. Randolph's cot. What about the other? Gentlemen, are these new cadets to be punished, or are the truly guilty parties willing to take the penalty?
Colonel Ram, one of them was in my bed. The other one was in mine, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. You both report to your room under arrest.
But, sir, the game.
I'm sorry, but that can't be considered a question of discipline. You should have remembered the game last night, Mr. Crawford. I explained the whole situation to the coach.
Yes, sir.
2 years after Brother Rat, Ronald Reagan exchanged the diamond for a gridiron and went from VMI to Notre Dame as the legendary George Gipp in the movie Newt Rockne All-American. He was the famed Gipper Pat O'Brien asked the team to win one for. He was fast, elusive, tough, consistent. In the movie, the classic All-American, on and off the field.
There'll never be but one Rockne, here at Notre Dame or anywhere else. He's given us something they don't teach in schools. Something clean and strong inside. Not just courage, but a right way of living that none of us will ever forget.
By 1952, Ronald Reagan had put George Gipp and Newt Rockne long behind him. He was, in fact, back to talking baseball, albeit with different intent, to Rhonda Fleming in the movie Hong Kong.
How do you know?
Because I'm in charge of this party.
Oh. Looks like I'm playing right field on this club. That's a baseball expression.
Yes, I know. I used to pitch for the mission team.
Bet you got a pretty good curve at that.
The pitch Reagan made to Rhonda Fleming was nothing compared to those he threw at opponents in a film entitled The Winning Team. As Hall of Fame pitcher Grover Cleveland Alexander, he fired almost nothing but strikes and proved to be a memorable and popular favorite with his public.
For Chicago, Alexander pitching.
You've given them something to remember, Alex.
Ronald Reagan, the actor, as a sportsman in fact and film. But of course now, as the President of the United States, he has turned his attention to more serious matters. And on that note, we welcome this Thanksgiving note from the President.
I hope you're all enjoying today's game. From football to turkey, Thanksgiving Day really is a chance to be with friends and family and enjoy the good times together. But I'm sure that sometime today, the thoughts of all of us will turn to the real meaning of this, our first national holiday. And I'm sure that in our hearts, we'll all feel a deep gratitude for this much-loved country of ours and the blessings that have been conferred on those of us who call ourselves Americans. You know, the meaning of the American experience is that freedom only prospers where the blessings of God are openly acknowledged and avidly pursued. This is also the beginning of political wisdom. It's what Thomas Jefferson had in mind when he said that the God who gave us life gave us liberty at the same time. It's what George Washington, our first president, meant when he said, of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. And a famous French observer of America who came to these shores and put it simply about our strength as a nation, America is great because America is good. You know, I've always believed that in the simple prayers of good people, there's more wisdom than in all the carefully laid plans of great leaders, and more power than in all the mighty armies of the world. So today, I wonder if I might ask each of you, either alone or even better, when you're together today, to say a prayer of gratitude to the Lord for watching over our country all these years, and ask him, too, to guide us through these perilous but exciting times ahead. Thank you, and from Nancy and myself and all of us in the administration, happy Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.
This 1981 National Football League game is brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this one's for you. By the new Chrysler Corporation. For 1982, Chrysler has the cars, the quality, and the prices America needs. By Radio Shack, a division of Candy Corporation. And by the twin-action Norelco Rototrack razor. We've got one half of football down on this Thanksgiving Day at the Silverdome, and at the half, the Lions are out in front of the Chiefs by a score of 17-7. Looked like it would be a wide-open affair in the early going because the Lions took the ball and marched right down the field, aided by a pass interference penalty. Eric Hipple completed this pass to Freddie Scott to get close, a 19-yarder. And then after getting close, he completed a 10-yard strike to David Hill. Hipple, in the first half, 8 for 16, 119 yards. Lions moved in front 7-0. Joe Delaney went over the 1,000-yard mark with this run. On the first half, he was 8 for 63. But it was Billy Jackson that scored the tying touchdown, deadlocking the ball game at 7 in the second period. Eddie Murray's 35-yard field goal made it a 10-7 ball game. And then the Lions couldn't capitalize on J.T. Smith's fumble. It was indicative of the way the first half was being played. Both teams coming up with the turnovers. Still, Eric Hipple to Freddie Scott made it a 17-7 ball game, and that is the way it has remained to this point because Eddie Murray has missed on a 41-yard attempt. So right now it stands at 17-7. We've got a second half to come from the Silverdome. We'll get to it on Thanksgiving Day right after this commercial break.
This Bud's for everybody who races the weather to bring in the harvest. This Bud's for all you do. The king of beers is coming through. Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser. For all you do. This Bud's for you.
The new generation of Dodge Rams made an X-Forward owner out of me, and now Dodge has come up with this new Ram Miser. Beautiful inside and out. And Ram Miser gives Dodge the biggest increase in gasoline mileage of all full-size pickups. Hard to believe it's America's lowest price pickup. Equipped, not stripped.
Dodge trucks are Ram tough. Get $300 to $1,000 cash on select new Dodge cars and trucks. See participating dealers for complete details.
I can cook better than Henri with one hand tied behind my back. Okay, Reggie, one hand. Ah! I have the Panasonic Genius. He has an ordinary microwave oven. The Panasonic Genius is auto-sensor, defrosts, cooks, and warms automatically. Henri has to defrost, then use a probe. I don't. Henri must turn the food. The Genius does that. Voila!
Voila! Beaten by a ball player.
And the Panasonic Genius.
Ready for the second half. The Lions leading the Kansas City Chiefs 17-7. Kansas City will get the ball first here in the third quarter. Eddie Murray has it teed up. James Murphy, number 80 deep, At the goal line, there the veteran quarterback Danielson, his replacement Eric Heppel, and Heppel perhaps the difference in the first half. His counterpart Kenny, number 9. Of course, also on that sidelines, number 4, Steve Fuller. Leading 17-7, underway in the second half. And it is out of bounds. And for the second time, Murray, trying to kick to the sidelines, is guilty of the illegal procedure. Halftime statistics. You'll see the advantage for the Lions in the passing department. Total yards 114 for the Lions passing, only 18 for Kansas City.
One of the differences, Dick, both quarterbacks throwing at a 50% pace, but 2 of those passes from Kinney were intercepted by the Lions. Both led to field position. And certainly time of possession pretty close. Everything else relatively stable in there.
Now re-kick from the 30-yard line. There's Steve Fuller. He started last year until late in the year, and some feel that he may indeed see some duty today.
And it looks like they're warming him up on the sideline. We asked Marv Levy, would you hesitate to swap quarterbacks? He said, both of my quarterbacks no. And I believe maybe he's going in, Dick. He said, I have told them that if I feel that one is not doing as well as he should, I won't hesitate to make a change. And he's communicated to them that. I would be surprised if we don't see it here.
Kansas City tied with Denver for first. The Lions only 1 game behind Minnesota for first place. Murphy at the 10, the 20, the 30, and all the way to the 39-yard line. Alvin Hall made the tackle for the Lions. And coming onto the field is number 4, Steve Fuller, will quarterback opening this second half. He was the number 1 pick of the Chiefs in 1979 out of Clemson. So for Fuller, who's thrown the ball only 30 times all year. But remember, it was Fuller who rallied Kansas City from behind against the Oakland Raiders at mid-year when Kansas City fell behind. Delaney and Hadnot, the running backs behind him. Out throwing to Delaney at the block, and he's at the 41-yard line before Ken Fantetti of Wyoming, the middle backer, can make the tackle. Gain of 3. Here's the rest of the Kansas City offense. Stan Rome, also from Clemson, a teammate of Fuller in college. J.T. Smith, leading receiver on the outside. Al Dixon, former Giant, tight end. Perkinoff, Buddy, son of former All-Pro Ed Buddy. Jack Rudney, Condon, and Getty on the right side of the Kansas City line. 17-7, the Lions lead. Delaney to the 43-yard line, and well done by the Detroit Lions as number 53, Gary Cobb, who played his football at Southern California, made the tackle. The Lions defense, Purifoy from Eastern Michigan, Gay from USC, English from Texas, and Baker of Colorado State. The linebackers, Cobb of SC, Fantetti of Wyoming, White of Ohio State. Wayne Smith played his ball at Purdue, and James Hunter of Grambling with Allen, UCLA, and Oldham played his football at Middle Tennessee State. And he's to the 46-yard line, knocked down by James Hunter, a first down. Now Fuller gives to this Kansas City offense what Heppel allows the Lions. He can run.
Well, he typifies the scrambling quarterback, Kenny the drop-back quarterback, and you see the difference that can make. You saw Kenny being sacked on a similar play early. Fuller does exactly what Heppel has done early in this game. He makes that first down himself, gets upfield and gets it. They're down inside of Detroit territory, and those two guys are good friends on and off the field. They're not resentful of their situation, which is very important for that Kansas City team. Delaney
to the 45-yard line. Cobb got there first. We should go back to Fuller's running talent as an example of his ability to run with a football. Last year, Fuller was the number 2 Kansas City rusher for 274 yards and 4 touchdowns. And you saw him, going back to our communications alignment in the first half, look to the sidelines, get the signal for the play, then go in the huddle, give his teammates the play. Now he'll call it at the line of scrimmage. Second and 9. Complete for Smith at the 24-yard line. First down, Kansas City, and Fuller has his first completion.
Dick, just an ad on Fuller. There you see the signals coming down from Kate Alton upstairs. Signal being given on the side of, or on the line of scrimmage by Bobby Ross, the coach standing next to Levy, signaling out to the quarterback. Levy indicated that Fuller, although he does not have as strong an arm as Kenny, had been throwing better in practice than he's ever seen him throw.
He had that one right on the money. Problems, I guess, again with communications. The Lions are pointing across the way and saying, hey, we don't have our line into the press box. They shouldn't have theirs.
The guys, they may pull the plug on him again. We'll have to see how fast Snelker can get out of the box and down onto the field. That's exactly what's happened. That's interesting that and now they're seeing to see if somebody's kicked the plug. I don't know what's going on.
Gray-haired gentleman in the foreground is Don Dahl. He has written his history on this day for the Lions, one of the outstanding defensive backs for Detroit. Now their coach.
Fred Hoagland, the offensive line coach, takes his headset off and gives it to Maxie Vaughn, who needs to call the defense. Maybe just the headset went crazy.
Delaney. The trap did not fool the Lions. Dave Purifoy and Doug English stacked it up. No gain.
Good defensive reaction by that front wall and the linebacker, Teddy.
Atlanta, the top rushing defense, as you saw, the Falcons in the NFL, but these two teams second and third.
Detroit last year led the NFL against the rush as well.
Steve Fuller can't get away. Next to the touchdown pass, maybe the play that calls upon more crowd reaction than any other in this game, the sack. And I know you heard those sounds and loved them when you were a Los Angeles Ram.
Well, you know that's the completion of your job as a pass rusher. The Lions have done it with the blitz today. The second in a row for second sack for Stan White. White waving a couple of players off the field. He's calling his own defense here. Maxie Vaughn obviously wanted something else to the sideline.
The blitz. And almost a touchdown. It is stopped at the 15-yard line. That'll be just short of a first down. And James Hunter, number 28, saved a touchdown.
When you get the blitz like that, if a quarterback can read it and the receiver can read it, it's an automatic play. The quick in, impossible to defend against, but a tough play to throw and a tough read against the team that will hide that blitz. Detroit did not hide it there. Kansas City able to take advantage of it. Almost got the first down. Now let's see what they can do on the kick.
Gives a Hector Gray. Gray, a fifth defensive back, made the play. Lowry from 33 yards. And it's good. Nick Lowry kicks a 33-yard field goal, and the Chiefs move to within a touchdown. 8:49 remaining in the third quarter. Lions 17, Chiefs 10.
When it comes to space games, nobody compares to Atari.
Excuse me. Have you compared them to Intellivision?
In television?
Sure, they've got great space games, like in Television Space Battle.
I didn't know.
And now there's Space Armada and the Incredible Astro Smash.
I didn't know.
Here, compare for yourself. In Television Space Games from Mattel Electronics. Once you compare, you'll know.
Bell System Knowledge brings you a way to manage information more productively. Dimension PBX, a programmable electronic communication system for making critical connections more rapidly, increasing profits, controlling costs, saving energy, creating new information management possibilities for an endless variety of businesses. Dimension PBX from Bell.
Skating superstars Ty Babylonia and Randy Gardner, Robin Cousins, Peggy Fleming, and Dorothy Hamill compete in an encore performance of the World Pro Figure Skating Championship. Then light up with excitement in NHRA drag racing next Saturday on NBC Sports World.
Ivy Leaguer Nick Lowry from Dartmouth, leader in the NFL in scoring, has just tacked on 3 points, and it's 17-10 Detroit. Lowry to kick it off. Robbie Martin at the 20 and out to the 28-yard line. This telecast, presented by authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Detroit Lions and the National Football League is prohibited. See the offense of the Lions. Scott, who had the 40-yard touchdown. 5 offensive linemen who have done a good job of protecting Hipple.
Monty Clark talks very proudly about that offensive line. Again, they had terrible health problems last year, stayed healthy this year. Big advantage to the Detroit team.
Billy Sims, nothing there as Mike Bell made the stop for Kansas City.
Talked about how physical Mike Bell is. Boy, he just manhandled some people on that last play. Watch number 99, right in the center of your picture. They're trying to trap him because he's so aggressive. He not only read the trap, he dumped the trapper and made the tackle. An excellent play. He is a man that they would like to take advantage of because he's upfield so quickly. Although on that particular play, he was the one that won the battle.
Sims with 1 yard and now has 40 yards for the day. He's got running room. Out of bounds. And a first down at the 40-yard line. Hipple has run twice and averaged 12 yards a scramble.
Again, the kind of extra dimension that a mobile quarterback can give you. Hipple directing traffic finally just decides he's got a chance to get some yardage and does it very easily. Dick, just looking at that first drive by Kansas City, Fuller did his job, came out of the bullpen, got some momentum, but the baton has been passed to the Kansas City defense. Let's see what they can do here.
Sims about 8 yards before Barbaro and Blanton. Jerry Blanton of Kentucky. Barbaro of Nicholls State. Lloyd Burris, a rookie from Maryland, also in on the play. It'll be 2nd and 2. Defense of the Chiefs, still Parrish and Bell. It's a very young defensive unit. Howard and Blanton, Spaney and Peterson, the linebackers. Green, Burris, Barbaro's a veteran, and Harris. Barbaro's only in his 6th year, and he's the old man back there.
Well, this is the 2nd youngest team, the Kansas City Chiefs, in the NFL overall. 25 years old on the average.
Miami being the youngest. Sims searching for the hole and picking up 5 yards and a first down. Parrish and Peterson, the tacklers.
Dick, I used to hate those 2nd and short situations because it's a down that they can waste offensively if they wish to. A conservative call here, but the defense must respect the ability to go deep on that play and throw it away. Sims doing a good job of getting up inside. That's got to be an offensive lineman.
How did, no, defense.
Oh, well,
William Gay.
I see. Okay.
Dexter Bussey, the intended target. And that appeared to be an ad-lib play by Hipple. He wanted to go somewhere else and dumped it off to Bussey.
Strong safety, Lloyd Burris, number 34, who's just a very large defensive back with excellent quickness. He was the man that was coming hard. Hipple did not have much time. I think just spotted somebody that was open and tried to get it there. Burris, by the way, they're very high on. A rookie who has great talent physically, and they're very happy with what he brings to that secondary.
Through the hands of Horace King and almost intercepted downfield.
You heard the quarterback, Eric Hipple, calling 370, 370. Now, that's a way of calling audibles on the line of scrimmage or different plays if they want to. The 3 represents the snap count. If the snap count is on 3, the audible becomes a live audible. So the 70 would mean something. The snap on that particular play was on 2, so it didn't mean anything. We'll try and listen again on this next play and see if he makes a different call.
3rd and 10. First down at the 36-yard line. A perfect haul for the Lions. They caught the Chiefs in a blitz and a little shuffle pass for a first down.
Again, the dummy audible call. 398. 398 didn't mean a thing. But the Lions sure had it called perfectly. The defensive line outside. Sims just ducks up inside and is past the secondary past the lineman and into the secondary before anyone can get a beat on him. But he is limping as he comes off the field, and that toe is bothering Billy Sims again. That is bad news for the Detroit Lions.
11 yards on the forward pass, however short. Rick Kane replacing Sims to the 34-yard line, a gain of just 2. Don Parrish of Pittsburgh and Gary Spaney of Kansas State made the tackle. Spaney is quite a popular player, Kansas City area. Understandably, went to Kansas State. 3rd-round draft pick in '78. In his final 3 years at Kansas State, the Wildcats did not win a Big 8 conference game. That'll build you some character. He was their leading tackler and has been the leading tackler for Marv Levy with the Chiefs.
And he calls the defensive signal.
Dexter Bussey. Boy, he has some great blocking on that left side. Baldishweiler, Elias, and Fowler just pushing the Chiefs back. And a good gain, although short of a first down. Bell, Blanton, and company. Spaney finally made the stop.
We talked about Kansas City's offensive line getting the advantage of surge early in the ball game. Detroit certainly doing it right here on this drive. We talked about the baton being passed to the defense of the Chiefs. Right now, on the line of scrimmage, the Detroit offensive line taking advantage of the Chiefs defensive line.
Vince Thompson, a big back, 230 pounds, and Sims are back in the lineup on 3rd and 2. Sims didn't get it. Good play by Kansas City, and they stopped him cold. No gain. Spaney right there again for the Chiefs. And here comes Murray in to try a field goal.
We've talked about his range. This will test him.
He missed at the end of the first half from 41 yards. He connected earlier from 34 yards. And now Murray will try one about 47 yards. Maybe shorter. They're going to mark it 46 yards away. That would have been good from 56 yards.
I think even further than that. That was almost to the top of their goalpost. Just barely starting to come down.
Eddie Murray, native of England, grew up in Canada, cricket player, a soccer player, and he can use his feet.
What tremendous power. And you've got to reflect on the difference kicking inside as opposed to kicking in the old stadium here in Detroit. that was traditionally, I think, the worst turf in the field this time of year, Dick.
12 minutes have been played in the third quarter. Each team has had the ball once, and they've traded field goals. It's 20-10.
If your morning shave has turned into a nightmare, gotcha. Wake up to the exclusive twin-action Norelco Rotatract razor. Inside 3 floating heads. Twin-action grips and raises hair up, then razors hair off, closer than ever. For twin blade closeness without a nick or cut, the twin-action Norelco Rotatract razor, quarter rechargeable. Because for close shaves,
there's no action like twin action.
Here's your Strohs, Bob. Thanks, Pete. Happy holidays. Thanks. In fact, a holiday Strohs for everyone. It's on me. Bob buying? Bob? Bob's buying the Strohs. Bob? Bob's buying, Bob. Bob's buying the Strohs. Season's greetings, beer lovers. From one beer lover to another Strohs.
One of the many faces here at the Silver Dome. 76,735 in attendance. 80,638 tickets sold. More people watched the Lions than any team at home last year, and apparently that's going to be the case again this season. Great fans here in the Motor City area. Good kick. Murphy to the 10, the 20. Oh, my. Was he hit at the 23? Leonard Thompson, number 38, made the hit with Alvin Hall right there, too.
That was Vince Thompson.
Excuse me, Vince Thompson.
We got it right. But watch the shot. Murphy coming right up the middle. A good kickoff return man has to accelerate. That also means that he must accelerate right into the defenders at times. Ed Beckman, number 85, captain of the special teams for the Kansas City Chiefs, trying to block the man that eventually came head-to-head with James Murphy.
Little flanker screen to Smith. And Wayne Smith, not related, number 44, tripped him up. He gets out across the 25. Wayne from Purdue, he's a photography nut. Likes to take that camera with him on the road.
That's a real test, Dick, for those cornerbacks. They're dropping off, expecting that receiver to come downfield. They have to come up quickly. They have to make certain that they don't allow that man to get outside, and they try and hold him up long enough to get the pressure from the inside to come out.
Second down, 7. Complete. Tight end Al Dixon to the 44-yard line. Dixon from Iowa State with his first catch of the day and a Kansas City first down. Stan White and James Hunter made the tackle.
Steve Fuller showing us again why Marv Levy is not afraid at all to bring him off the bench. He came off smoking hot, 5 for 5 here in the second half. Pretty hard to fault that kind of decision from a coach.
Plus the fact he scrambled for one long first down.
Although I've got to tell you that having 2 quarterbacks in and out makes it tough on a team.
That's Loam in motion. And Delaney hit in the backfield. Purifoy. Dave Purifoy from nearby Eastern Michigan.
He certainly made his presence felt here. He goes inside of Charlie Getty. Getty didn't feel that he would have a chance to get Delaney, but Purifoy just showing his quickness. A little stagger step, a little misdirection there, but that just got him there slow enough to let Purifoy come through and put him on the ground for a nice loss.
Purifoy finding a home here with the Lions. Had 7 sacks last year, 10 and a half to lead the team this year. And a penalty goes down. J.T. Smith of the Chiefs thought that Fuller was going to run, and he was blocking a Lion defender downfield. That will be against Kansas City.
Just by way of information for the fans watching at home, The defensive backs and linebackers have the same protection as a receiver once the ball has been thrown. Once it's in the air, the offensive receivers cannot bump or otherwise push the defensive backs. That's what was called here. Even though Smith did not know that there was a pass being thrown, he'll still be ticketed with the foul.
And it wasn't a matter of him trying to deny an interception. He didn't even know that Fuller was going to throw the ball.
Well, in fact, it was the kind of play you'd hope your receivers will make.
Now, Smith can't fault himself for that effort, but it is 10 yards against Kansas City.
Pass interference, number 86, offense, third down.
Just to clarify that, Dick, the difference in offensive interference and defensive interference, once the receivers are 5 yards beyond the line, you can't touch them. But defensively, once the ball is thrown, you give the same protection. And here you see it right there, that Smith just bouncing away. The ball goes right over the top. A good call by the officials.
Second down, 23. Ball is dead. That's not a fumble. The ball has been whistled dead. William Gay, 79, who was a tight end in college and drafted as a tight end, has made a very difficult conversion to a defensive lineman, and he's been outstanding.
Well, and this Detroit defense has been smoking here in the second half. They're coming off their finest defensive performance ever, I would think. You saw the ball. Watch the ball bounce out now. It bounces out as Fuller hits the ground. There is no fumble. Good call by the official. If the ball comes loose as a result of contact with the turf, no fumble.
And with 13 seconds left, the Lions, if I understand, have they taken a timeout with 13 seconds?
I believe Kansas City took the timeout, Dick. Looks like Fuller wanted to go to the sideline and talk.
So just seconds left in the third quarter. The Lions lead by 10.
Yes, sir. I'd like to have this 35mm film developed. Well, you're in the right place. Just a minute. Do you use Kodak paper? Sure. Look on the back of this photo. See, this paper manufactured by Kodak. We use Kodak paper because we believe in quality. Yes, but how can I be sure to get it every time? Just ask for it here. Where you see the sign, the one with old, what's-his-name on it. Old what's-his-name? I was just kidding, Big Joe.
Now get $300 to $1,000 back direct from Chrysler on most new 81 and 82 cars and trucks at participating Dodge and Chrysler Plymouth dealers. Make your best deal. Then get $300 back, $400 back, $500 back, $600 back, $700 back, $1,000 back, depending on model. Use the cash for your down payment. Now get a new car or truck and get up to $1,000 back direct from Chrysler.
The outcomes have been incredible. Next Sunday, don't miss a dynamite doubleheader as the road to the playoffs continues on NBC Sports.
Third down, 24.
Marv Levy huddling just moments ago with Steve Fuller. I've got to wonder if they were able to come up with a play that's good for third and almost 25 yards. If they did, I'd like to put it in my bag of tricks and carry it with me.
So that's the part of the communication that may take a higher level than the press box. They need a little more help.
It certainly is not impossible, and we've seen what a hot hand Fuller has. This would be a real test for him.
Lions have 4 down linemen. Stan White is the only linebacker and 6 defensive backs. Almost intercepted by Wayne Smith, number 44, intended for J.T. Smith. And Wayne thought he had 6.
Dick, along with the liberalized pass rules, I think we're seeing a real change in defensive philosophy around the league. More and more specialized defense, more and more 5 and 6 and 5 and 6 defensive backs, all aimed at trying to stop the passing game. And I think long run, they're going to take a lot of that advantage away from the offense.
Jeff Gossett to punt. Robbie Martin, the only man back. Short catch. Martin at the 27. And out of bounds at the 40-yard line goes Martin. So the Lions with excellent field position at the end of the third quarter here at the Pontiac Silverdome, 76,000 plus. It is 20-10 going to the fourth period.
Tonight, Lorna Patterson and General Hospital's Tony Geary join Donnie and Marie and the Osmond clan on the Osmond Family Holiday Special. Then Arnold's caught stealing and needs all the justice he can get.
Right on, brother.
Different strokes. And when Nell and the Chief go on a diet, it's high-calorie comedy on Give Me a Break. After the Osmond's Holiday Special and Different Strokes tonight.
The Winning Moments is brought to you by Miller Lite Beer.
Super Bowl X, 1976. Terry Bradshaw uncorks a long one. The remarkable catch is by Lynn Swan. They team up again for this 64-yard scoring play. Pittsburgh 21, Dallas 17. For the Steelers, a winning moment.
I've had to write some tough things about some tough guys. But there's one guy I can't write anything bad about. His unique brand of baseball has made him a living legend. So have his commercials. They got me to try his favorite beer, light beer from Miller. Light's less filling, and it really tastes great. So I bought this light for that renowned, yet humble man, Mark Throner.
Cheer up, Billy. One day you'll be famous just like me.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Friend. Thank you. Amos Fowler, number 65, the center.
I think it's only appropriate that a Turkey Day message should come from Fowler. Got great programming.
Rudney's Rowdies. They love Jack Rudney in Kansas City.
That's Robbie Martin, 83 there. Rudney, of course, the center for the Chiefs. And we hope you have time. He gave us a longer Thanksgiving Day message, but he's such a quality man, and his message is so true to the spirit of this day. We'll try to find time for that. Billy Sims tripped up in the backfield as Cal Peterson had infiltrated, and a 230-pound linebacker from UCLA makes a fine play. Three-quarter statistics, Merlin.
That's certainly reflective of the edge to the Lions here in rushing, 112 yards, and they picked up some nice yardage, although Kansas City's come back on the passing of Fuller to even things out a little bit there. But still a pretty considerable edge to the Lions.
The Lions lead 20-10. Screen to Nichols. But again, the Chiefs defense read it very well, and it was Cal Peterson with plenty of help to make the tackle. Credit Dave Lindstrom, 71, and Dino Mangiero with help to Peterson.
Dick, as we enter this fourth quarter, it might be interesting to reflect on the kind of history that Detroit has had during this season. If this game is going to fall into line with that, things will tighten up considerably.
Of their games this year, 12 games, half of them, 6, have been decided in the final seconds. They've won 2, and they've lost 4 in the final minute of play. Hipple in trouble. Bell came through cleanly. Mike Bell beat his man, and that's the second Kansas City sack of the day. Hipple had no chance as Bell logs his third sack of the year.
It appeared that Detroit, with pretty good field position, was going to have a chance to get downfield. The Kansas City defense comes up strong on their back legs. Mike Bell puts the finishing touches on a sack, and they forced Detroit back well into their own territory. Let's see if they can get a return here on the punt by Spillane.
J.T. Smith is back at the 35, and that's returnable from the 28. 35, 40, and to the 46-yard line. Exciting. John Thomas Smith tackled by Vince Thompson. 44-yard punt and a 16-yard return. 13 minutes, 33 seconds left. Lions 20, Kansas City 10.
Two motorcycles racing neck and neck. Look at that. Can they make it? Can you make it? Yes, with Dirt Bike Racing from Tyco. A whole new kind of racing set that challenges you to burn up the track, even fly over it. Dirt Bike Racing. There's bumps and jumps that slingshot you like a real biker. Now, really test your skill. Stretch for the jump. Ride the seesaw. Go for the bumps. Ride the whole course without a spill. You did it. Dirt Bike Racing from Tyco, of course.
Hey, Gail, how's the trip? Great, very good. Good. Oh, no, not again. Wait, my stroke. Hey, look at that guy. Wait. Wow, he caught that jet. Hey, that's Gail Sayers. Boy, Mr. Sayers, you were really flying. Had to. Nobody's taking off with my Strohs.
From one beer lover to another Strohs. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen, Brian Gumbel, and all the NFL 81 crew. Happy Thanksgiving from Pontiac, Michigan. Mike Bell, who made the big play on that last drive. If this game were being played outside, out of doors, it's in the low 40s, around 42, 43 degrees today. Not a bad day for this time of the year.
Better than a lot of the days we had here when I came to play here, Dick.
Kansas City starts from its 46. Fuller just off the mark as he tried to hit Stan Rome, his former teammate at Clemson, on that quick slant.
We talked to Stan White about the offensive signals. Watch the signals he's calling here. He's calling audibles for the defensive team and then must settle back in, get his concentration on the game. They almost beat him with that quick down and in, but he was there in time to get his hands up in front of the ball.
There's a kicking team star. Ken Callicutt recovered a fumbled punt earlier. Delaney. And a flag is down at the 48-yard line. Sanchetti and Smith, Wayne Smith, made the tackle.
Usually a holding call when they throw it out in that territory. Coming in, let's see what they did get on it.
Bubba Baker giving you an early cue. Flipping. You have some fond memories of playing in Tiger Stadium this time of the year?
Some cold memories and some unfond memories. The early part of my career, we played against the team that embarrassed Green Bay back in '62. That Green Bay team, I think, by the way, is, if not the finest team ever assembled, certainly one of the finest. Kramer and Starr and Gregg and Ringo and Corning, Taylor, that whole gang, Fuzzy Thurston. But certainly my memories go back to being embarrassed here a few times in Detroit.
Clipping, number 84.
The tight end, Al Dixon, with the clip.
Dixon, by the way, has not caught a pass all day. They've been unable to utilize their tight end, and that hurts. Or one pass all day. Yeah. Not a very productive day.
Second down and 25. Intended for James Hadnot, the running back, and Fuller did some nice dancing to get away from that pass rush.
Chance to watch the scrambling that takes place when a quarterback drops back behind the line. White, working on Hadnot, has got to stay with him now. He gets knocked off, coming hard to try and get to Hadnot. I think Fuller was trying to get that ball out of bounds. Fuller threw that ball from about 30 yards, 35 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Had he been sacked back there, they'd have been almost back to their goal line, Dick.
Third down, 25, 6 defensive backs in for the Lions. A great throw to Hadnot. to the 48-yard line. It'll be short of a first down. And Fuller racing for his life. Doug English almost beat the snap. He was in the backfield with a snap. And Fuller was quick enough to get the ball to Hadnot for an 18-yard gain. Jimmy Allen shaken up on the play.
Looks like he's got a cramp in his calf. Chance for you to watch it. And again, the advantage of a quarterback that can run. Tremendous pressure, gets outside, and a very interesting pass in that it had to be floated over the head of Luther Bradley. Perfect shot. Shot now at field level. Watching Stan White try and read the play, and you'll see the receiver coming out of the backfield. You saw him crossing the line right there. Now the little flip right there to Hadnot. Good play.
That'll bring up 4th down and about 8 for the Chiefs when we return. A little under 13 minutes remaining.
Good service isn't giving people what they expect. No, it's giving them more than they expect. Avis knows that. So when you make a reservation, Avis makes a commitment, and they honor it.
Morgan?
See, even if you're 6 hours late, now you might be willing to pay a little more for this service, but at Avis you don't have to. Trying harder is still the best way to do business.
Welcome to warm afternoons in Caravan.
Sunny Rhine days with your friends and mine.
Special moments.
The feeling shows.
Your new home.
A gala toast with the Rhine that flows. Oh, the joy of sharing Gallo wine.
Will we ever have a house like this?
Share the joy of Gallo wine.
As you look at the roof of the Silverdome, I know many of you read about the roof on the new stadium in Minneapolis. It's the same sort of thing, and they had some problems with some snow in the construction phase, but this is the same thing you'll see up at the Humphrey Stadium in Minneapolis next year. Robbie Martin back at the Lions' 10-yard line as Gossett from Eastern Illinois to kick for Kansas City. Or will he kick? Yep. He shanks it out of bounds. That won't make Marv Levy happy. 32-yard line. Detroit will get the ball.
One of the officials dumps rather unceremoniously on the field. Let's see if we can see how it happened. Gossett gets this one off the side of his foot. A very, very poor kick. The official coming in bumps into Gossett.
That would have been at least 10 yards in the open field. Everyone's okay, thank goodness. Happy Thanksgiving to one of the zebras.
Atari has captured the hearts, the imaginations, and the TV sets of America. Kmart has captured the fun, the excitement, and the true-to-life action and sounds of Atari at a Kmart price. Emotions run high as Atari puts family member against family member, friend against friend, world against world. And you don't have to hunt all over town because Kmart has Atari in stock right now. Kmart is the saving place.
This Bud's for the man who took the Andrea Doria treasure back from the sea.
Out here, a thunderstorm rolls in fast. Sometimes too fast. And when they're taken care of, it's your turn. Busch. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream, for a taste as smooth as its name. Busch. Head for Busch. Head for the mountains.
4 games remaining in regular season, 1981 NFL. Here's our lineup on Sunday, beginning with NFL 81 at 12:30. The Colts against the Jets, and they're still aglow at Shea Stadium after that tremendous come-from-behind win last Sunday. Cincinnati and Cleveland, always a great battle. Cincinnati with a marvelous year. Oakland and Seattle, and Denver at San Diego. That's a battle for first place at San Diego Stadium. Lions, after a 20-yard kick, have it at their 32-yard line. And it's Billy Sims, dragged down by the jersey by number 57, Jerry Blanton.
Jerry
Pause
Blanton.
briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. With Merlin Olsen, Dick Enberg, happy Thanksgiving from the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. The Lions scored the first time they had the ball and have never trailed, although tied at one point, and lead the Kansas City Chiefs 20-10. We're in the fourth quarter, less than 12 minutes remaining. Lions ball at their 32-yard line. Hipple looking for help, and that's going to be intentionally grounding. He could not find an open man and didn't get it close enough to Billy Sims, and they're calling it against Hipple.
They're being a lot tougher on that call this year. Monty Clark showing his anger at the call. But what they'll say now is if they feel that the intent of the quarterback is to throw it into the ground to avoid the sack, they're going to call him. And that with two defenders right on top of
number 17.
Little screen pass there. He wants to get out to Sims. You see the coverage right there. Blanton is right on top of Sims. Now, you might wonder, why can he put his hands on him? There is no pass interference behind the line of scrimmage. So you can come in and push the receivers around a little bit behind the line.
Well, Marv Levy's Chiefs have the Lions deep in their own end. Back to the 15-yard line. That's the same as a sack. They mark it at the spot where Hipple threw it away.
And lost it down.
So 3rd and plenty for Hipple. It is ruled a forward pass incomplete, as Hipple almost had that one picked off by that Chief Jerry Blanton from behind.
Watch the pressure from 67 Art Still. It'll come from the right side of your picture. You'll see Hipple start to run. You'll see Still coming in from behind. Now watch as the arm starts forward. Now that's all it takes to be counted as a forward pass. Had the arm not started forward, that would have been a fumble.
Longtime Lion fans will remember a play like that against the 49ers when Detroit's Leon Hart did get the ball, just took it right out of the quarterback's hands and ran it for a touchdown. Sladany from his own 5-yard line. And J.T. Smith, he can run. 46 of Kansas City. And ducks down at the 50-yard line. So the Chiefs have excellent field possession. Plenty of time. 11 minutes, 26 seconds remaining. Detroit Lions 20, the Kansas City Chiefs 10.
Radio Shack makes Christmas dreams come true. Perfect for your little fireman or policeman. Our fire helmet or road patrol helmet for only $7.99. And to make the dream complete, an exciting battery-powered safe police car or fire engine for only $6.99. Easily programmed for 6 driving maneuvers, including straight, zigzag, circle, or square. Clever gifts for your kids at affordable prices. Only at Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
I have found my new car. The Chrysler LeBaron series for 1982. LeBaron combines high mileage and luxury. The coupe even has a Mark Cross interior available. And no other car has front-wheel drive, luxury, and seat 6 at so surprising a price. Lee Iacocca's dream to combine high mileage and luxury is a reality. The 1982 Chrysler LeBaron series, they are like no other cars in America, Europe, or Japan. My new car.
Sophisticated racing machines burn up the track at breakneck speeds of over 200 miles per hour. Don't miss the quickest quarter mile ever in NHRA drag racing. Then, a special encore performance of the World Pro Figure Skating Championship next Saturday on NBC Sports World.
Happy Thanksgiving from me and from the turkey to all of you out in football world. Thank you.
Jimmy Allen, the Detroit Lions Spider-Man defensive back. Kansas City Chiefs at midfield. This is their best field position of the entire game. Starting a drive at the 50. They are 10 points behind the Lions, 20-10. First down has been unkind to Kansas City. Their last 9 first down plays, they're a -7 yards. Delaney James Hunter. A beautiful defensive play by Hunter to limit Delaney to 2 yards.
Delaney, with all his quickness, Dick, must learn to also be able to cut back against the grain. The one thing we have not seen him do, and he'll have to do it if he wants to maintain the kind of quality that a great back has to have, is to learn to cut back against the grain. He most often wants to break everything outside.
Only a 1-yard gain. It's 2nd and 9. Delaney on a reverse. Gets only 3 more at best. William Gay, very fast for a big man, and Wayne Smith made the tackle.
Gay still on the ground over there. Very slow getting up. You saw again the tremendous explosive speed and quickness of Delaney. I get some of those old nausea feelings all the way up here.
You don't have to tackle him anymore.
I don't have to tackle him. I'm glad.
Father Murphy couldn't catch him.
You just have to pray, right?
6 defensive backs. See Delaney slightly ahead of Sims. Niederman having a great game. Fuller to Hadnot. That's going to be very close to a first down.
I think he's
Ray Oldham made the tackle.
They give him a good spot. It would appear that he'll have it. And that's pure strength to pull that first down. He got it, was hit, and pulled himself up for the first down.
Meanwhile, the clock running toward the 10-minute mark. 10:05, and it's running. First down for the Kansas City Chiefs. Monty Clark looks at Steve Fuller. Watch Fuller now as he gets the play from his tight end Dixon. Sometimes it's signaled in, sometimes sent in.
Detroit Lions use a messenger service. Most often, Kansas City will use the signal.
Delaney about 6 yards on that carry before Bubba Baker and Ken Fantetti can make the tackle.
Dick, it might be worthwhile to point out again that the Kansas City Chiefs are without the services of their finest deep threat, Henry Marshall, who is here with them on the trip but has been placed on the injured reserve because of an injury. They certainly would have liked to have had him on the field today.
No question. Good point. Marshall with 38 catches and 4 touchdowns, but he's out for at least 4 weeks. Delaney the other way. Just shy of the first down at the 31. Will bring up 3rd and 1 for Kansas City with 8:45 left in the game.
There's a look at Henry Marshall. They would love to have had him here, and what that does to you when you lose that kind of deep threat and you have to go to receivers like James Murphy, who's not an experienced receiver. The defense often can afford to put one man on an inexperienced receiver and know they'll be able to cover him.
And they double team J.T. Smith all day today. Billy Jackson is stopped cold as Doug English got there first.
Interesting choice now for Marv Levy. This would be very long field goal for Lowry. 4th down and about 2.5 yards to go. Levy conferring on the sideline. Let's see what he decides to do. He's going to go for it.
Bringing in Delaney.
Yep, he's going for it. Sends in the extra deep offensive lineman at tight end. He wants the 7.
4th down. Call it 3. Listen to this crowd. It's going to be very close. It'll depend on where they spot the ball.
I don't think he got it. Looks like they're going to spot it short.
Look at Levy across the way. He's saying it's out here, but it's spotted shy of the first down. The Lions take over. He spotted right at the 30-yard line. The yardsticks are beyond the 30, so it is first down Detroit. The veteran Rudney arguing for Kansas City. They thought they got a bad spot.
Art Levy figuring there's not much you can do about it now. He'll march back. He'll say, come on, let's get off the field. Let's go to work. We can't argue about that. That's spilt milk right now. Let's get something done.
Well, let's judge for yourself as to whether he had the first down or not. You mark it.
It looked to me like he did go down short, but if wherever he touches the ground, there's a knee down right there. He's well behind it. I think they gave him the benefit of the doubt on it.
He skidded forward, and that gave the impression he might have gained more. So Detroit has the ball when we return.
IBM put a lot of what it knows about computers into the new IBM personal computer. Not to make it complicated, but to make it simple, so it's easy to understand and easy to use. IBM made its personal computer to help a person be more productive, to help a person be more creative. And those are good reasons for a person to feel good. The IBM personal computer, now at selected stores across the country.
Hey, the sun fades away, and the shadows say slow down. Time to put aside a long day's ride and pass the good times around. Push. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream, for a taste as smooth as its name. Push. Head for push. Head for the mountains.
This replay tells it all. That's a first, he says. And the reaction said, no, it isn't.
He said it was right here, well beyond the marker. I don't blame him for being upset. He wanted that first down very badly. Now the pressure shifts dramatically to back onto the shoulders of the Kansas City defense.
The Chiefs have to get the ball twice and score twice. They trail 20-10. 7.5 minutes left. The reverse. Leonard Thompson, that's the 7th time he's carried on a reverse this year, and he has nearly 70 yards. So they've averaged about 10 yards a run on that play, and Lonnie Clark uses it almost every game, if not more than once, twice today, in fact.
Well, if I were coaching and had a man with that kind of explosive speed and that kind of confidence, I wouldn't hesitate to use that play either. That's a tough play to defend.
You've got Sims going one way. You have to pay attention to him. He may keep the ball.
Well, he made yardage in spite of the fact that they had good containment on him.
That's Vince Thompson. He's not related to Leonard. And there's two Thompson. One wears 38, one wears 39, and one almost wore a white 59 with a red 59. Spaney.
And there goes a personal foul, I believe, against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think maybe somebody said something to an official about the way he was going to spot that one, Dick. And they better be careful. They might get another one.
They mark it out to the 45, and here's the explanation.
Face mask. Oh, face mask. Okay.
First down.
Okay, let's get a look at it here. Mangiero makes a great play as he comes across inside. You may get a chance. It's on Spaney right there. And there you see the face mask. Not the use of the mask to tackle, but you can't even touch that mask. If your hand gets on the mask, they've got to throw the flag on you.
Sims. After the whistle, no fumble, a gain of about 5. And having watched Billy Sims earlier this year, there's no question in my mind that he is not at full speed. That isn't the Billy Sims that is totally healthy. He's favoring that sore toe, and yet he still gets 5 yards on that carry.
You watch him going back to the huddle with pain. He was relatively healthy. He told me yesterday he felt he was about 95%. But he hurt that toe earlier in the game, and it certainly is bothering him.
Sims, as a rookie, set the Lions rushing record for a single year with over 1,300 yards. Steve Owens The only other line over 1,000, and Sims has done it twice in 2 years. Here he comes. And gets 4 more and out of bounds at the 46. That stops the clock, and Kansas City has to be concerned about that with 5:39 left. And a 3rd and 1 facing Hipple and the Lions.
Clock's definitely ticking away. A crucial 3rd down situation here. Might look ahead and ask the question, what would Monty Clark do if they were not to make this? Would he kick the ball away?
I think he would.
I think he would, with a 10-point lead.
And with Spladany, who has been just outstanding in kicking the ball inside the 20 and not kicking it into the end zone. 2 tight ends, David Hill and Ulysses Norris. Sims. And that's a 1st down at the 44 of Kansas City. And that hurts the Chiefs because that means the Lions can keep the clock running.
Lions obviously now trying to use the clock. Will keep the ball inbound. Will try and run the ball. You get a chance to feel the strength of that offensive line in this second half of Detroit. Homer Elias, number 61, driving Spaney, Gary Spaney, about 5 yards off the ball. That's the kind of play you run 8 or 9 times on Monday or Tuesday, and they're a little embarrassing. Spaney's had some good ones today, too, by the way.
Play action, and Hipple fumbles and recovers his fumble at the 47-yard line. And that's what the Chiefs, who have been very good at that all year long, forcing fumbles and interceptions. In fact, they're right with the leaders.
They've also run 3 fumbles back for touchdowns, which is most unusual in a season.
And another interception for a touchdown. Their 3rd sack today. But the clock continues to run. 4:45, 4:44 left. The Lions 20, the Chiefs 10. It was tied at 7 after the 1st quarter. The Lions led 17-7 at the half. Both teams kicked a field goal in the 3rd quarter. No scoring in this quarter. And Thompson. Bubble. Out of bounds to Detroit at the 7-yard line.
That's twice in the last couple of minutes that the ball has had a chance to bounce, and it's bounced to Detroit 2 times. Gary Green, number 24, punched that ball right out of the hands of Vince Thompson. There were 3 or 4 Chiefs there, but the ball rolled out of bounds. Now watch it it'll be at the end of this run. A great job. They're trying to strip the ball. Watch number 24, Gary Green, come over. Now watch his right arm. Right here. Punches that ball. The ball comes loose. Actually hits on the knee of one of the defenders. That was Eric Green, but the ball went out of bounds. Watch it again from this angle.
40 yards, the longest run in rookie Vince Thompson's NFL career, and he gets the call again. Looked like the same play. Looked as if they had him by the face mask, but apparently just around the shoulder pad, down at the 8-yard line. Barbaro made the stop.
Now, if you're at home wondering why, when the ball hit on Eric Harris's knee, that Kansas City didn't get the ball, when you have a fumble like that, even if the defensive team touches the ball, it's not theirs unless they actually get possession of it. Ball rolled out of bounds and is awarded to the offensive team.
Barbaro made the Pro Bowl last year and All NFL. Nichols State, Louisiana, their first football team. With 3.5 minutes left, it's Thompson again to the 4-yard line. Now they're using the big power back, 6 foot, 230-pound Vince Thompson. He was a long shot to make this Lions team. He was the very last player of the 45 back in the summer training period, and was a long shot, to say the least. Free agent from Villanova, a school that no longer has a football program. 45 yards for him today, and they're using him down on the goal line, and the clock is down to 3 minutes remaining. And the Chiefs must stop the Lions from scoring a touchdown, or it's over. Sims drilled his way into the end zone on that carry.
He marks a great back for second effort, or what they do after they're hit the first time. And Billy Sims showed you what he has in the way of heart and second effort on that play. All the defensive guys get choked up when they see those backs going to the end zone.
Murray's try for point. And the Lions now lead 27-10. That was a 70-yard drive in 10 plays, 4 yards for Sims.
Even on a bad show, Sims still has that explosive speed. And here's what I talked about earlier, cutting back against the grain. That's what Delaney has got to learn to do. And Eric Hipple, you think he's happy? Watch it when he sees the touchdown.
Sims carried a man 30 pounds heavier than himself into the end zone the last 3 yards, and the Lions are up by 17.
Michelob brings you the 7-day weekend, Southern style. The style and grace that is the South is reflected in one great beer, Michelob. That smooth and mellow taste has its own special way of saying, y'all come back and see us anytime.
There's nothing better on a rainy night in Georgia. Put a little weekend in your week. Yeah.
A time comes when you must watch your money carefully, so quality and value are a necessity. Can you find them in an American car? Absolutely. In Plymouth. Yes, Plymouth. The new Horizon Miser, built with advanced technology and front-wheel drive for the best gasoline economy of any American car. 5-passenger Horizon Miser, and not a penny more than 81. The American way to get your money's worth.
No place like home on Thanksgiving. That's how Monty Clark feels, and Marv Levy's team has not been on national television for some 4 years, and he said that was one of his thoughts this week, to keep his players from treating this game as being too important. That'll go into the end zone, and on the touchback, Kansas City has it at the 20-yard line. 2 minutes, 40 seconds left in the game. Let's go back to Sims' touchdown.
Billy Sims from a look high from the end zone. Now watch the vision that allows him to cut back. The little glance inside, sees there's no one pursuing in a position to be able to nail him early, and just bulls his way over the top of the defender. He knew exactly where that end zone was, Dick.
Leg power of Sims. He's hit head on by Peterson, stopped, and then just refuses to be brought down.
You see how he kept those feet moving? That's the secret to great offensive football, whether it be a lineman or a runner.
Steve Fuller has a man open, J.T. Smith, but he doesn't get out of bounds, and the clock will continue to run with 2:30 left.
Almost an impossible task now. 17 points. If it were 2 touchdowns, it certainly would seem more within the reach of Marv Levy and his Kansas City Chiefs.
Incomplete. Stops the clock with 2:08. Kansas City showing its mettle last year after they started 0-4 and then finished the season 8-4 for an overall 8-8 record. And this year, not a surprise to the good fans of Kansas City and Missouri that they're tied for first place with an 8-win, 4-loss mark. But some of the folks around the country have been a bit surprised by Kansas City, and there are a couple of other clubs that have raised some eyebrows with their success this year. I want to salute them. Way too long with 2:03 left. What team has surprised you most this year?
Well, I think after watching Cincinnati in the middle of the year, we thought they were in position to start to threaten, but I don't even think we would have believed that they could come as strongly as they have in this season. Forrest Gregg and Anderson having a great year this year. They certainly have made believers of everyone across the country, and the other team I think I would have to salute would be the San Francisco 49ers. As difficult as that is, I have a lot of respect for what
I know how tough that is for you to say. Yeah, of the defenders for the Chiefs. This game has a lot of highs and lows.
I think that's one of the greatest things about it, Dick, the emotional highs and lows that you hit as an athlete.
Delaney is incomplete. Incomplete. Delaney, just as well he didn't get it on the ricochet, and that's the 2-minute warning. It comes at 1:57 left.
Quick look again. The new rule stipulating that if you have both feet on the ground and the ball in your hand, it is a completion. Well, I think they might have given Delaney the benefit of the doubt.
Kansas City, however, faces 4th and 10 and time running out when we return.
Alcoa presents Fantastic Finishes. 1978, Art Rooney's Steelers against the Browns. Bradshaw hands off to Blair, who gives to Swan, who pitches back to Bradshaw, who whales a 40-yard strike to Benny Cunningham that beats the Browns in sudden death 15-9. The Steelers handled the ball no less than 6 times on a flea flicker that brings victory to Pittsburgh on the game's final play.
Here comes another bunch of aluminum cans headed for recycling. Alcoa takes back the aluminum cans by the billions, and it's worth it because there's precious energy to be saved by remelting the cans and making brand new aluminum. Recycling. We're doing it now, and new cans are on the way. Made of light, convenient, energy-saving aluminum.
We can't wait for tomorrow.
Going into today's game, the best record in pro football, the surprising Bengals of Cincinnati, then Denver, the Jets in Miami, Kansas City, should they lose, would be 8-5 and drop down to the 5th spot, but still very much in the hunt.
There are the other 9-3 teams, Philadelphia, Dallas, San Francisco. And, of course, you see Detroit popping up there, not too far down the list.
Well, they're putting pressure on the Vikings now. Flag down on 4th and 10, and complete. Will it count? James Murphy, his first professional catch at the 45-yard line, and we'll check the penalty. 21 yards if it counts, but the Lions are pointing as if it's a Kansas City penalty. Offside, no. Lions, so the play will count. Before we leave the thrills of this season,
number 60 offside defense.
It was my pleasure to do the New York Jets game last Sunday, and well, that was something. We'll go back to that, but first, Jack Rudney. We promised you that we would share his Thanksgiving message. Here's a man who's devoted his time to a lot of charitable work. He's a class athlete. His words.
My name's Jack Rudney. I'm with the Kansas City Chiefs, and when it comes to Thanksgiving, I guess I think of 2 things, and that's time to be with our families and time to give thanks for really a lot of the wonderful things we have. Unfortunately, I don't have that time with my family today. I'd like to wish them the best in Kansas City, as well as my family and relatives in Cleveland, Ohio, and perhaps a special thanks to special Thanksgiving wish, at least, to that segment of our population that perhaps isn't as fortunate as all of us. Some of our people who are handicapped either physically or mentally, some even economically. And I know the daily battles that each of those people fight. My heart goes out to them, and I wish today to be the very happiest Thanksgiving that you've ever had.
I think the thing that helps us to respect those words from Jack Rudney is the fact that he backs those words with action. Brings the handicapped kids to every game at Arrowhead Stadium, brings them down on the field afterwards. I think that's the kind of thing we need more of, not only on the football field, but throughout this country. Doers, not talkers.
Now, we've really featured on this telecast many outstanding athletes and men. And Rudney, of course, comes to mind, and all the folks at Kansas City know, but people around in the country. Here's a man hidden in the middle of that offensive line who is just a quality citizen. And the same for Stan White, a man who graduates 5th in his law class, a law student, not playing football. We've said it before, but you cannot be a dumb athlete and be a successful one. Now, these are very bright and sensitive men. And I guess I've seen no better example than my partner, Merlin Olsen. And I know most of you know that, but I think it's important we say that because some have a mistaken impression.
I think it's important, too, that people like Stan and Jack and many more, Dick. There are a lot of people who fall into that category happily in the game. They have the proper perspective. This is a game to them, and there are many things in life that supersede and take precedence for this game.
We talked about the Jets-Miami thriller last week. If time permits in the postgame, those of you who didn't get a chance to see the last 2 minutes, Richard Todd playing with a broken rib, driving the Jets to a 16-15 exciting finish. We'll be replaying it for you, so stay tuned. Complete. Stan Rome can't get out of bounds. Oldham made the tackle at the line, 47-yard line.
We got a fight going. We got a fight going.
We really do. Or at least a good wrestling match. Doug English was the Lion, and Roger Taylor, a rookie from Oklahoma State, not a bad wrestling job.
I'll tell you, with the two of them out there, I don't think you'd want to jump in between. That they're swinging those beefy meat hooks. I got to tell you, it's hard to hurt a guy in a football uniform, though. At least swinging a fist at him. All you're liable to hit is plastic, and that hurts the fist more than the plastic. I think we'll have a double foul here. Looked like they were both throwing punches.
Unsportsmanlike, number 78, rejection. Unsportsmanlike, number 70, rejection. Number 76.
And both players are thrown out of the game. So they'll be able to start thinking about the Thanksgiving courses.
Dick, we didn't get that game on the West Coast that you did in New York. The last play, though, wasn't that a tip ball that decided that game?
No, I believe Ty just drilled it in to Jerome Barkham, and with 16 seconds left, it was the only touchdown the Jets scored. And
well, that was the Buffalo game with the tip ball.
That's right.
Yeah.
But in the Jets game, I had to race to the airport trying to catch the last flight home to Los Angeles, and it was a very poignant scene. I was running through the parking lot trying to get to the car, which was near the expressway, and it had to be 6 to 10 minutes after the game was over, and I looked back at the lights of Shea Stadium, and the roar of the crowd, they were still in there cheering, and the game had been over 10 minutes. And the fans of New York, and not just Jets fans, the Giants fans
with that big win over Philadelphia.
Hey, they're still a part of the playoff picture. 1:25 left. Incomplete. Stan Rome. Kansas City wanted interference on 26. Hector Gray. Ray Oldham was also there for the Lions.
They've got to go for it on fourth. They have no choice. Rome showing a little inexperience there. When a ball hangs that long, you have got to come back to the ball. He did start back, but he's got to drive aggressively back. Now watch it. He'll stop here. Now, the minute that ball is thrown, he's got to come back to it. He starts, but he's not really driving back to the ball. You really have to come to it, or that defender is liable to beat you to it.
4th down and 12. Fuller trying to scramble for the first down. Doesn't make it. Ray Oldham with a stopper at the 38. Detroit has the ball and apparently the game. A lot of folks, as you can see, convinced the Lions are going to win. They're heading for their afternoon dinner.
Well, it starts another chapter for these two teams in our story of communication, too, because the next job for both coaching staffs is to break down this film, to see what they did well and what they did poorly. And certainly for the Chiefs, there'll be a little soul-searching. For the Detroit Lions, a great deal of celebration, but also they must correct the errors that they made in this game. The desire of both of these teams, and they're both teams that have lifted their head up out of the mire in the past couple of seasons and are on the upward climb, but they both want to be better tomorrow than they are today. I admire that in both Levy and Bonnie Clark.
Timeout called by Kansas City. How about the fact that these two teams, and Dallas and Chicago later will have 10 days to prepare for the next round. Do you think that's a big advantage or any advantage at all?
I think the answer, at least my answer, might surprise you. I always preferred a short week to a long week. I think it gets yourself stale and kind of worn out waiting for a game to be played. It was easier for me to gear up for a Thanksgiving Day game than for a game that was with a 10-week or 10-day layoff. Although there are coaches who like to have a 3 or 4 day period when they can let their players go and relax.
Looking at the rest of the schedule for the Lions, they've got at Green Bay, then Minnesota at home, which could be, of course, a crucial game, and then at Tampa Bay. And the Buccaneers are still a part of the picture at 6-6, while Kansas City has a game at Denver, home against Miami, at Minnesota, a tougher schedule. Vince Thompson again, not much there. 47 seconds, 46, and the clock will continue to run.
We certainly have to take our hats off to Joe Delaney, who saw his stats just a moment ago. He's done a fine job. But looking at that schedule, I think the thing that's impressive to me about this Detroit team is that they're at home for the better part of that, and with this win, they have now remained undefeated here in the Silverdome.
Kansas City's remaining games. Teddy Nathanson is our director today, and Larry Cirillo, producer. Terrific job, gentlemen. And you made our holiday more pleasant with your creative work. That'll be it. The Lions beat the Chiefs. As the players show their respect for their combatants, our thanks to our spotters, Walter Doherty and Ron Grubbs, Buck Jersey and Ron Knight with your help in the booth. It's over, 27-10, Detroit.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines. We serve more of this land's top 100 business centers than any other airline. Fly the friendly skies.
This has been a presentation of NBC Sports, the leader in innovative sports television. On NBC Magazine, horror movies Urban Nomads and The Self-Made Millionaire Friday.
For 4 days only, Art Van is selling hundreds of items at cost or below during Art Van's massive $10 million stock reduction sale. At no other time, at no other store, will you be able to buy name brand furniture for less. Friday through Monday only, Michigan's largest furniture retailer offers drastic reductions in every department. If you've been waiting to buy furniture, don't. Save now at Art Van's 4-day, $10 million stock reduction sale.
How do you shop for a microwave when you're not sure what you want? Well, during Montgomery Ward's Microwave Sale of the Year, you'll discover all the features you need at prices you'll love. You'll see ovens with removable browners, even a microwave convection oven combination. This 1.5 cubic foot microwave features gourmet cooking control and temperature probe. Now just $379.97. Come in for a demonstration during the Microwave Sale of the Year at Montgomery Ward.
I'm Dick Purton, and I'm really excited. Watch my special on December 3rd. Second. Right here on Channel 5. Four. Did I say my name right?
The original Miracle on 34th Street, tonight at 8.
On Thanksgiving Day at the Pontiac Silverdome, it was left to the Detroit Lions to keep their record perfect and go 7-0 inside the Superdome. Eric Hipple leading the Lions to a victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, the final in the ball game, 17-7. This is the Budweiser NFL Report, brought to you today by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Well, to paraphrase the late Jim Croce, you don't pull on Superman's cape or spit in the wind or pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger or, for that matter, try to beat the Detroit Lions inside the Superdome. They go 7-0 inside this dome building, and one of the heroes on the day, young Eric Hipple. The stats weren't terrific, but you managed to do, Eric, what the Chiefs could not, and that was sustain drives.
Right. Well, that's what we were going to have to do to beat them, we thought. They're tough defensively. They came out in the second half and they came out hitting us pretty hard, and they came after us, and that's when we had trouble here getting a drive going. But once we got our drive going, I think we had no problem at all.
Coming into this ball game, you have to take a look at their past performance and say they're a club that if they do anything exceptionally well, it is stop the run. So how do you plan to attack a club that does that so well?
Well, just mix it up. You know, you have to throw short on them, and every once in a while let it go, and you have to loosen them up. You can't let them tee off on the run. You have to throw on first down sometimes, and that's what we did in the first half, and we didn't have a problem with it. And go ahead. Okay.
Well, I was just going to say that early on in the ball game, you threw a touchdown pass to David Hill. He was wide open. Then you came back. You found another one to Freddie Scott. Were you particularly picking on Eric Harris?
No, we didn't really plan on picking anybody else, just other than just their coverage in general. We put in a new play this week, and we thought we could get a guy deep behind Barbaro, and that's the one we hit Freddie on.
On this day, you have become quite a story. You're a young man who stepped in for Gary Danielson when his wrist went under to a broken wrist. Have you surprised yourself a little bit?
A little bit. No.
How much? All false modesty aside.
Well, not by performance exactly, just the way things have gone, I guess, in general. You know, I figured I'd have a good game here and there, but, you know, then I figured I would pan out, maybe have a, you know, just an average, you know, average games. But the way things went, yeah, I'm surprised a little bit.
You came in with a bang on national TV, putting a lot of points on the board. Today, 27 points. But does that really reflect Eric Hipple? Has he gotten better each game, and will he continue?
I think so. I think what I've gotten better at is making adjustments during the game. That was the toughest thing I was having a problem with. During a game, if they come up into something we haven't seen during film, we make adjustments, and I think that's what I picked up on. I think that's what I need to work on even more.
All right, Eric, thank you very much. The final numbers, 10 for 22, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. They're not terrific, but the big number on the board says Lions 27, Chiefs 10. It's one of the W columns for the Lions and Mr. Hipple. We'll come back after a word from Budweiser.
Guys who keep the action from getting out of hand, this Bud's for you.
This Bud's for you. There's no one else who does it quite the way you do. So here's to you. You know it isn't only what you say, it's what you do. This Bud's for you. This Bud's for you, for all you do. The king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
Next Saturday, cheer on the greatest names in the history of figure skating as the heartthrobs of the 1980 Olympics, Ty Babylonia and Randy Gardner, 1980 Olympic gold medalist Robin Cousins, 3-time world champion Peggy Fleming, and the electrifying Dorothy Hamill compete in an encore performance of the World Pro Figure Skating Championship. Plus, light up with excitement as Pro Stock and Funny Cars fly in NHRA drag racing. Then next Sunday, NFL action as the stretch drive for playoff contention continues. All for you on NBC Sports.
On this Thanksgiving Day, the Detroit Lions beat the Kansas City Chiefs 27-10. Merlin Olsen pointed out before the game that this would be one of the hardest-hitting ball games of the year. It turned out to be that and perhaps one of the sloppiest, particularly from the Chiefs' point of view. The way the game ended was certainly not the way it began. It was the Lions who took the ball down the field, scored on their first possession. The Chiefs scored on their second possession, but then things kind of slowed down. It was left to the Lions to make the difference, 27-10, and maybe the difference in the ball game was the Chiefs' inability to get anything going to sustain any drives, and the Lions' ability to get the big play out of Hipple and the big play out of their defense. For more thoughts on the game, let's go back upstairs. Merlin Olsen, Dick Enberg. Gentlemen?
All right, Bryant, we featured Joe Delaney and Billy Sims at the start, and of course you conjure up thoughts of a great Thanksgiving game by O.J. Simpson, who ran for 273 yards once on Thanksgiving Day, but it wasn't the big game by those stars. Where did it switch?
Dick, I think part of the reason for that is the two defenses are pretty good against the run. They made it tough on both these runners. Delaney had the edge in the first half, and I think certainly Sims had it in the second half. That's when Detroit needed it. They wanted to control the football. They got the edge with Sims running and with Hipple's passing throughout the game. I think we ought to pat Steve Fuller on the back, especially for his start in the second half, although he did not maintain that kind of heat throughout the second half. It looked for a while that Kansas City might come back. They just didn't quite have the gas to do it.
And going back to you, Bryant, Joe Costanzo has the final count. Delaney 77 yards, Sims 64 yards, and 1 touchdown.
All right, Dick, thank you very much. There's the graphic illustration of exactly the matchup we were talking about. Sims and Delaney. Sims, of course, was hampered a bit by, as Merlin alluded to earlier, turf toe. As for Delaney, it was interesting to note, also as Merlin pointed out, I should add, that while Delaney's numbers have been impressive, his race, it seems, is to merely turn the corner and get upfield. When the Detroit Lions managed to beat him to that corner, his inability to cut back was in great part the reason for the Chiefs' inability to sustain any drives. On this day, they stopped Delaney, were able to stop the Kansas City Chiefs, and were able to go 6-0 in the Dome. I correct myself. I think earlier I said 7-0. In any event, they're undefeated under this roof. We'll come back after a word from Budweiser.
This Bud's for the men who took the Andrea Doria treasure back from the sea.
This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
If you hate that wet, icky feeling under your arms,
why use a roll-on or spray antiperspirant that's wet?
start your day dry with Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant. It's the wide stick. Effective protection with more dryness to help fight wetness.
Needs just a few strokes and goes on dry.
So you can get dressed right away. No wetness.
Get the wide stick.
So dry, you can get dressed right away. Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant.
By minute.
You see the final score, the Lions 27, the Chiefs 10. There were a number of stories we attempted to develop today. One was the ongoing duel between Sims and Delaney, but the story within the story on this day was that of Stan White, the man who masterminds the Lions defense on the field. We highlighted him before the game, kept watch on him during the game. Now we're thankful he's joined us after the game with his old high school teammate, Michael Adamle. Mike?
O'Brien, you talked about the exploits of Eric Hipple on offense. This is the man who makes it go for the Lions defense, Stan White, number 52. And Stan, we were talking earlier, and I'm not trying to get the Chiefs mad at you or to send you letters, but you said that they were a pretty basic offense. You didn't have to study too much film this week, and you turned out to be pretty prophetic.
Right, because it was a short week. We only had a few days to prepare, and it was a good thing that they did things basically. And that's not bad. There's a lot of great teams that do things basically, but it helped us in our preparation. We knew that they ran from certain formations and they passed from other formations. And the fact that they were without Henry Marshall, I think, really hurt them a lot because it left J.T. Smith as their one main receiver and allowed us to double-team him all day long and really try to take him out of the offense and force them to go someplace else where they really didn't want to go.
Pressure was the name of the game for you guys this afternoon. You registered 5 sacks. You had one of them. How do you coordinate the Silver Rush?
Well, we give them a lot of freedom, Mike. We look into our pass situations, and we tell them just go rush the passer. Because, like I said, we knew when they were going to pass today because of their formation. And when they know that, they can really set their teeth back and go. And they really put a lot of pressure on. That's the key to any pass defense is the pressure you get on from your front four. We got a great front four here.
Okay, the Lions have run their record to 7-6. You got Tampa Bay, you have Green Bay, you have Minnesota. You control your own destiny.
Right, we can do a lot for ourselves the next 3 weeks. We play people in our division. We have a good streak going ourselves, 3 in a row, and we just try to play them one at a time. The old cliche now, because it's always so true. And if we can just play the way we play today, we'll be in good shape.
Dan, once again, congratulations. Happy Thanksgiving, partner. Great to see you.
Brother. Good to see you, too.
Okay. Bryant?
Okay, Michael, thank you very much. I think it's heartening to know in this day and age that when Mike Adamle played high school football, he was only the second best linebacker on his team. We're going to step aside for just a moment. When we come back, we'll have some some highlights of the ball game and be joined by Pete Axtell. We'll get to that after, again, a word from Budweiser.
What's more natural than spicy hot food and icy cold beer? What's more natural than Natural Light from Anheuser-Busch? It's the beer with a taste for food. So, when you want to put out the fire,
What's more natural than Natural Light?
When we at Craco build a car stereo, we never know who's going to be in the driver's seat. So every Craco car stereo is tested to meet the toughest quality standards. And that means you can be sure that your Craco car stereo will perform, no matter what your listening habits are. Down the road, you'll be glad it's a Craco.
By virtue of their loss today, the Chiefs have fallen out of a tie for first in the AFC West. But in the AFC East, the tie still exists between the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. That tie was forged last Sunday when the Jets came from behind in the final seconds to beat the Dolphins. The call from Dick Enberg and Bob Trumpy.
Sitting in Shea Stadium, 60,000 cheering for the Jets. Jones at the 13, and the clock running. And here's where those timeouts are so critical. 29, 28 seconds left from the 12-yard line. The Jets need a touchdown to win it. Ooh, and very close to interference as Jones was leaving his man Don McNeil, and McNeil had a piece of it.
There is something that an offense can do in that situation, realizing that a defense is allowed one chuck in the first 5 yards. If you can get the ball up while contact is made, you may get an interference call. I believe that's what Walt Michaels was claiming there. Plenty of time here now, no reason to panic, but throw it in the end zone.
Win or lose, that man, Richard Todd, has won a lot of fans in New York today. At the 12-yard line, 21 seconds and one timeout left. They're mobbing Jerome Markham in the end zone as the Jets have tied it. Yards, but not to spoil the celebration. Remember, the extra point is necessary for the victory, and here's Lee.
And so the Jets beat Miami 16-15 to forge the tie in the AFC East. They'll try to break the tie this Sunday when they go against the Colts. That's just one of the games we'll have on. We'll come back after a word from Budweiser.
For all the guys who keep the action from getting out of hand, this Bud's for you.
This Bud's for you. There's no one else who does it quite the way you do. So here's to you. You know it isn't only what you say, it's what you do. This Bud's for you. This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
Our final again, the Lions a winner over the Chiefs by a score of 27-10. And what does that bring your record up to? 3 above 500?
No, that brings me to 4. 24-20, not as good as the Lions in the Silverdome, that's for sure.
It was interesting. You were telling me ahead of time that you were talking to Monty Clark, and he said he's been getting all kinds of suggestions about the way to improve his road record.
Yes, every wacky suggestion in the world from psychiatrists and so forth, things to do with the guys the night before the game, make them feel at home, but this is where they're really at home. You know, Brian, I think an interesting point about both these teams is they're good, but they're limited, and one of the limitations is they don't come from behind. Once Kansas City got behind, it really took a lot away from them.
That raises a good point because you and I glossed over it a little bit. A look at the standings tells you they're playoff teams, but we both agree they are not in the classic sense. Does that mean the league is that strong or the entire league is that mediocre?
It means there is no more classic sense. Almost anybody can make it, for better or for worse. Both these teams have a shot.
From what you saw today, do the Lions appear to be a team that's going to get to play after Week 16?
I still have to see them do it on the road and on natural grass.
Okay, Pete Eckstone, thank you very much. Our final again, the Lions 27 and the Chiefs 10. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Don Ohlmeyer. Coordinating producer of football is Teddy Nathanson. Today's telecast produced by Larry Cirillo and directed by Ted Nathanson. NFL 81 was produced by David Neal and directed by Bob Levy. Our technical director was Bruce Berquist. Associate producers Mike Hadley and Glenn Adamo. Associate directors John Libretto, Bob McKinnon, and Brian Orenschrack. Remember, next Saturday on NBC Sports World, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, it's World Pro Figure Skating Championship Encore Performance with stars like Ty Babylonia, Randy Gardner, Peggy Fleming, Dorothy Hamill, many more. Plus the 1981 NHRA World Finals of drag racing. That's Sports World Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And then on Sunday, Week 13 in the NFL, NBC follows the race right down to the playoffs and through the AFC Championship. We ask you to start your day with us here on NFL 81. Join me for all the latest news, scores, and highlights from around the league. Then it's exciting regional action highlighted by interdivision matchups. Among them, Baltimore against the Jets, the Bengals against the Browns, and the Broncos against the Chargers. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. Our final, the Lions 27, the Chiefs 10. For Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen, Pete Axtell, Mike Adamle, and all of us here at NBC Sports, Bryant Gumbel saying thank you very much for joining us. Hope your Thanksgiving is a happy and healthy one. From all of us to you here on NBC, happy Thanksgiving from us, the leaders in innovative sports television.
A look at the Soviet spy threat on NBC Reports, The Spies Among Us, Saturday.